Okay, my friends, it's about 13 minutes until 0 hour. I want to personally thank you all for coming in and hanging out, especially all the enthusiasm that you're showing. So a couple of things that are going to be happening in the webinar. First and foremost, this is what we call a free-form webinar. And what I mean by a free-form webinar is that when I create the webinar, I have an outline of the content that I want to deliver. But at some point during the process, I actually jump off and I ask you what it is that you want to learn more about, what it is you want me to target the content of this webinar so that you'll be able to do. If you're our first timer in our webinars, then you're in for a real treat. But if you came in looking for a 90-minute pitch fest where I say buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, and tease you with all the results that you could get, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. There is an offer connected with this webinar, but like all of our webinars, everything in this webinar is proven. Everything in this webinar is things you can take out into the world right now, apply them, and watch them work for you. You don't need to believe a single thing about what we're going to be doing in this webinar, how we're going to be teaching you. All you have to do is have a great attitude, a sincere desire to do the drills and get the skills, and you can be out there getting more of the yeses in your life that you want and need in no time flat. Like I said, so a couple of things before we jump on at the official start time. If you were expecting a regular 90-minute webinar, you're going to need to reschedule because our webinars tend to go very long. They're focused on delivering very powerful, actionable techniques that you can take out into the world immediately. I want you to have as much fun on this webinar as humanly possible. The more interactive you are, the more responsive you are. I thrive on feedback. The better experience you're going to have as a byproduct of the things we're going to teach you on this webinar. Okay, for those of you joining us on YouTube, I see your messages in real time, but there's a lag between when my video signal reaches the YouTube platform and you see it versus when I answer a question. So if you ask a question in YouTube, I will see it pretty much as soon as you type it, but it will be a little bit of a while before I actually get to answer your question. And just as an aside, this is a public webinar, and we do have a zero trolling policy. If you're coming here most of the people who come in are usually pretty well behaved, but every now and then you get a few people who just like to steal the attention away from the content and focus it on them. And if that's the case, those people won't even get a first or second strike. They'll just be excommunicated from the webinar. Most people, usually pretty good. But like I said, we have people who are specifically manning and monitoring the chats. If you behave and you do the drills and get the skills, you're going to get some good stuff. You don't got to believe anything I'm going to tell you. All you got to do is go out and do it, and you'll be amazed. Okay. That being said, if you have questions, right, feel free to type them in the chat. When they are relevant to the content in the webinar, I will happily answer them. I will tell you right up front, though, that a lot of times the questions that we get kind of pull us off track, and as much as I love answering questions, the more questions I answer, the less content that is planned for tonight gets delivered. So if you want your questions answered, though, and this is probably one of the most important things before we log on, first and foremost, there are 3 ways that you can get your questions answered as a byproduct of this webinar. First and foremost, you can ask it in the chat. If it's relevant to the point in the presentation that we're at, I'm happy to answer it. If it's not relevant, or I don't see it, which is actually quite often the case, because I've got 2 chats open, and as more and more people flood into the room, the questions fly by many times so fast that I can't actually catch them. So, in the event that I don't see your question or I don't get to keep asking it, obviously, but at the end of this webinar, in the comments section directly below where this video goes live, if you go back and you type in that question, I go back and I review all of the comments in each of the videos for every webinar, every video that we post for weeks at a time afterwards. And I will happily answer your question in the chat. If I can answer your question, I'll give you an answer. If I don't have an answer, then I will point you in the direction of where I think you might be able to look to find the answer to that question. The final way that you can get your questions answered, and that we're going to review this once again when I actually open up the video, is that we have lots of people from Planet David who have been with us a year, 2 years, 6 months. They've taken these skills out into the world and they've actually used them. For those of you who are returning, who've used our content, who've used our materials, if you see a question that is relevant to the topic, or that you have personal experience actually solving, feel free to answer the new people's questions in the chat. Because again, when you log on, you expect David to have an agenda. You expect David to say, "My stuff is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Buy my stuff. Buy my stuff. Buy my stuff," and brush off to buy stuff. Well, talk to the people in the chat next to you, the people who've actually gone out into the world and utilize things like the echo technique, or the three magic questions, or the resistance removal protocols, or things of that nature that we'll be talking about in this webinar. And get the story directly from them, how it's changed their lives, how they've nailed job interview after job interview, how they've gotten dates and communications from their partners and spouses that they weren't getting before. Lots and lots and lots of cool things are possible for you from simply the free content on this webinar. So my promise to you, once again, is I will take you as far as I can on this webinar in the time that we have. I'll point you in the direction of where to go to take the next step. Right? There's an amazing discussion going on in our YouTube channel about syrup and instead of sugar, and all kinds of interesting things. So let's hope that we get a little bit more focused towards the beginning of the webinar. Anyway, we got about 7 minutes till we log on officially, so let's go ahead and use your last minute restroom breaks. Grab some stuff to write on, some stuff to write with. Make sure you have some caffeinated beverages, things that will trigger a dopamine or oxytocin release in you, so that we can have more and more of your brains hardwired for learning and fun. And let's jump in at 4 o'clock and go as far as we can in the time that we have, and then go where we need to go for more. All right, this is David, over and out. I'll see you in 6 to 7 minutes.
This is Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. This is Angela calling from Redmount. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. I was just calling to check in to see how everything's been going on the program, see if you had any questions or concerns about anything.
No, so far everything's
Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Secrets of Human Influence. I'm your host for tonight, Dr. David Snyder, and I am so excited to be back with you once again. We just completed one of the biggest trainings we've had in, since COVID hit, really, in wonderful Las Vegas, Nevada. We're getting ready for our next flagship influence training in Orlando, Florida, next month. And let me just give me a minute while I figure out why I'm out of speaker mode. There we go. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, first and foremost, I want to thank you all for joining me. And the first thing I need to talk about is how many of you are first-time visitors to Planet David? If you're first time, type your name, where you're checking in from, and first time in the chat. This is a highly reactive, highly interactive workshop. And so the more you do the drills, the faster you're going to get the skills, and you're going to prove to yourself really, really quick just how fast you can start hearing yes a lot more to success, health, wealth, and happiness in your life. First time, a lot of good people coming in. First timer. Oh, very good, very good. Now, those of you who are veterans of Planet David, if you've been bebopping around Planet David live and in person, first and foremost, for 3 months or longer, go ahead and type your name and how long you've been in Planet David in the chat. If you're somebody who's been with us for a long time but has purely been video, oh man, somebody been since my David Van Ark days. Oh my goodness! So we got some seasoned people in the room. Now, why do I ask that? Why do I ask that question? First and foremost, I want you to understand that people keep coming back because the stuff we have to teach you works. There is no fluff. There is no BS on this webinar. The best part about the things you're going to be learning is that you don't have to believe a single darn thing that I'm going to share with you in the next 2 hours to 90 minutes. And yes, or 2 hours to 3 hours rather. And yes, I did say 2 hours to 3 hours. So let me give you a little bit of what you can expect on tonight's webinar. First of all, the focus of tonight's webinar is influence and persuasion. How to get human beings to want to do what you want them to do, and in the process, like, love, and trust you more as a byproduct of that. Is that something that might be useful for anybody on this list? If you think that's a useful place to start, go ahead and type "that's me" or "I want that" in the chat for me. Go ahead and do that for me. Cool. Next piece. A, my disclaimers. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best use of the next 3 hours of your life. However, if you're tired of getting stuck, if you're tired of being passed over, tired of being ignored, tired of being lied to, tired of hearing no to everything that you want in your life, this is probably the best place for you to be right now. Let's talk a little bit about the format for tonight. Okay, tonight's format is what we in Planet David call a free-form webinar. So I mentioned that in my little intro just prior to turning on the camera. I was talking a little bit, trying to give you guys a little bit of a heads up about what to expect. Our goal here is to deliver to you directly hardcore, real-world, proven techniques that you can take out into the world right from this webinar and start applying immediately to get a result in your life. You don't have to believe any of it. All you got to do is just do it. If you follow the drills and do the drills, you're going to have some skills that you can apply. Some of this stuff you're not going to believe until you actually do it, and it just works. Okay? But our freeform webinar has basically 3 parts to it. The first hour of tonight's webinar, I am going to be giving you hardcore, real-world experiences and techniques that lay the foundation for more advanced techniques that we're going to cover in part 3 of the webinar. So I'm going to deliver a huge amount of actionable content that you can start putting to work right away. I'm going to give you the foundations and understandings that allow you to know why these things work and how they work and experience them for yourself. Then about the 60 to 75 minute mark, I've prepared a program that I'd like to talk to you about. I'd like to share it with you. That's designed to take your learning to the next level. So part 2 of our webinar will be me sharing with you how to take the skills we're getting in this webinar to a whole new stratosphere. We call it seeing the matrix, for lack of a better word. And once you realize just how powerful and ethical these techniques are, that's the beauty about everything in this webinar. It's 100% ethical. There's no lying, there's no cheating, there's no miscommunication or misdirection involved. It's all about finding out in a very deep, powerful way what motivates people on a deeply emotional, personal level, and linking it to what you want them to do in such a way that by doing what you want, these people automatically get everything they want. Is that fair, to move through the world getting everything you want by helping everybody else get what they want? Would that be a great way to move through the world? What do you think? Yes or yes, as T. Harv Eker would say, right? And again, there are systems out there that are focused on, pulling the wool over people's eyes or misrepresenting things or creating contexts that may or may not be true. You won't get any of that in this webinar. The whole point of this particular system was that it stays on the good guy side of the line, but it protects you against the bad guys. So anybody here want to be more protected from the bad guys of the world, the evil manipulators of the world? Is that something that you might think? Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to do a lot of research and development into that. So we talked about part 1. Part 1 is where we give you the foundations and some real world techniques on how your mind works, how to apply them, practice and demonstrations for doing them. Part 2 is where we teach you how to upgrade and take your skills to the next level. Part 3 is where we come back to the content we started to teach you in part 1, and we pick up where we left off, and we teach you even more advanced, more powerful techniques that are built on the foundations we laid in part 1. So my job, if this is the scope of everything there is to learn today in the field of persuasion and influence, we got time for this. So my personal promise is to you, I will take you as far down this rabbit hole of influence and persuasion as I can. Over the next 2 to 3 hours, I will share with you as much information as you can assimilate so that you can go out into the world and make your life everything you want it to be. And then I will point you in the direction of where to go to level up even further. Is that a fair trade? If you think that's fair, type that's fair in the chat. Type I want to do that. Perfect. All right. So a lot of people often ask, by the way, just for the record, I hate PowerPoints, but I understand that some people like them. So I will be bouncing back and forth between the PowerPoints. I also use OneNote an awful lot in these presentations. So a lot of people often ask, well, who the heck is Dr. David Snyder and why should I care? Well, first and foremost, I am an actual doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. This is a copy of my diploma from the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine before they changed their name. And I've been a practicing acupuncturist in California since 2005. My specialty there is treating physiological illness that's caused by repressed emotion. So as a byproduct of my work, I've seen inside the hearts and minds of literally thousands of people. I see how they create their belief systems. I see how you change their belief systems. I see what makes them happy. I see what makes them healthy. And most importantly, I've learned what makes them sick. And I've learned and discovered a tremendous amount about how humans want to be and what makes them do the things that they do. I'm going to share those things with you as part of tonight's training. Okay? What else? In 2020, I was named the #1 NLP Trainer of the Year by globalgurus.org. I've been in the top 2 slot in the NLP world for about 7 or 8 years now, give or take. And so this is my #1 slot, but I've been #2 for the last 6 or 7 years. So I've authored over 15 different products on various forms of human influence. Everything from dating and attraction to sensuality and sexuality enhancement to advanced sales and persuasion techniques, hypnotherapy, story work, reframing and how to overcome beliefs or eliminating beliefs and negative obstacles to your success in programming. In 2020, my course Killer Influence, this is a copy of the letter I received from globalgurus.org back in 2020, and it says, it's with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for neurolinguistic programming. And if you click on this little link right here, you'll see that these were all the people that we beat out for our program, Killer Influence. Now, what's interesting, little fun factoid, let me jump out of the PowerPoint really quick. Little fun factoid is Killer Influence, which is coming up next month in Orlando. It'll be like the 13th year we've been teaching this course. Still the flagship course in the world. We never promoted it as an NLP class. Our peers, our students, people who've been through the program, they voted the course the #1 NLP training program in the world. So we must be doing something right. It's all powerful. It's user friendly. There's no fluff in it. And if we have some of that material floating around on YouTube, so you're more than welcome to check that out for free. But I just wanted to kind of point that out because to me this was completely unexpected on a number of levels. A, I didn't know I was in the running for it, and B, we never promoted Killer Influence as an NLP class. It certainly uses NLP among other disciplines, but for us to get that nomination, I thought was really cool. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you really quick. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Some other things. In case you didn't know, I happen to hold a 10th degree black belt in Okinawan martial arts, specifically Ryukyu Kempo Karate. I have a 4th degree black belt in Shaolin Kun Tao, a 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo Ru, 1st degree black belt in Fankuru Jiu Jitsu. I'm also a certified instructor in Combat Sistema, Cinco Mano Eskrima, Modern Arnis, and as I like to make a joke, I have more energy healing credentials than McDonald's sells hamburgers. I've been a Reiki master since before Reiki was cool, back in the 90s. I'm also a Kabbalah practitioner as well, before Madonna even heard of Kabbalah, so I'm very much a pre-Madonna. I'm also an advanced pranic healer, pranic psychotherapist, advanced DNA theta healing and manifestation certified, and I'm certified in the Bankston healing system, as well as many different forms of Qigong. Now, when people see all this stuff, the first thing they like to say is like, so what? What do all these things have in common? And that answer is pattern recognition, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But what does pattern recognition have to do with human influence? Well, ladies and gentlemen, practically everything. You see, everything that human beings do has a structure to it. There's a structure and a pattern to the way they move. There's a structure and the pattern to the way they think. There's a structure and the pattern to the way they create beliefs and the way they act on those beliefs. And those thoughts and the structures of those thoughts and beliefs and drivers to what they want have a structure that comes out in your language. And once you can begin to perceive the world through the eyes of process and structure, which is very much what martial arts and NLP did for me, was to look beyond the jargon, to look beyond the geography or the time period in which something was created, but to ask some very different questions. First and foremost, does something work? And if it does work, what's the structure of it? What are the mechanics of it? What are they actually doing that's creating that effect on a consistent basis? And that's what we talk about when we talk about pattern recognition and structure. Everything human beings do has a structure and a process to it. And once you can perceive that structure, you can inject change in that structure, or you can use those very structures that a person's giving you to communicate with them more effectively, tap into their deepest needs and wants, link them to what you want them to do, and they feel good about going forward and doing it. So there's a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous amount of power in the ability to recognize patterns. The techniques you're going to be learning tonight are products of that ability to see and recognize patterns. And you don't need to be able to see the pattern right away to be able to use it. Now, what do I mean by that? That sounds like I just contradicted myself. If you can discern the pattern yourself, great. But if it's good enough that somebody can show you the pattern and then to show you how to recognize it, and then you can go out and use it. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to show you patterns. We're going to show you things that make human behavior very, 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 very predictable, very consistent, and again, result in you getting what you want. Is that fair? Is that a good place to start? What do you think? Type in the chat. What do you think? Okay, very good. All right. So, are you in fact in the right place? If you can answer yes to any of the following questions, type it in the chat so I know. A, how many of you would like to be super charismatic, maybe even attractive to members of the opposite sex or your own gender, if that's something that you want to do? Would that be useful? By the way, the ugly truth about attractive people get more stuff. Attractiveness comes in two types: physical attraction and emotional attraction. One or the other is great, but if you can do both, bam, it's a home run. Okay? If you'd like to banish fear and insecurity from your life, radiate more confidence and assertiveness, and maybe be considered positively alpha in all the right ways, not the toxic masculine bullshit that a lot of the pickup artists are trying to portray or whatever. this is the place for you. If you would like to use these skills to build your business, to get more coaching clients, to get more therapy clients, to convert more people to sales, to basically make more money in your business, or even start a business, you're in the right place. Okay? If you'd like to know how to protect yourself from the social predators of the world, the people who are going to use these skills in an unethical, manipulative way to leave you worse off than they found you, that you're in the right place. We're going to show you some very powerful ways, A, to screen for those people and to defend yourself against them. Okay? If you'd like to program your own mind and body to create massive financial or social or romantic abundance in your life, you're in the right place. If you'd like to be able to create a sense of liking and admiration in the people you meet, that people automatically trust you more, they follow your lead more, they take you more seriously, that you're actually listened to and heard and seen in the way that you want to be seen and heard, you're in the right place. I'm going to pull back the curtain on some of the simplest, most powerful ways to get people to feel that about you and with you, and vice versa. It's crazy when you start applying these things. First of all, how simple they are. You're not going to believe it. I guarantee from here to God's little green apples, you're not going to believe half the stuff I'm going to teach you. But you don't have to believe it. You just got to do it. Right? If you'd like to learn and inspire your employees, your team, your family, you're in the right place. We're going to teach you how to open up their heart, find out what makes their heart sing, and play a song that they've written just for you to listen to. Okay? If you've ever thought about being this weird Jedi master who can just, these are not the droids you're looking for, that's a different webinar. No, I'm teasing. There are certain ways that you can utilize these skills to put people in a very profound pleasure-based trance that links everything they want to everything you are. We're going to teach you how that works so you can use it in an ethical and honest way. Does that sound like a plan? What do you think? Okay, cool. So, here's my personal promise to you. If you stay until the end of this webinar, I'm going to teach you the fastest, most powerful, and ethical way to influence anyone you to like, love, trust, and oftentimes obey you in any situation or circumstance. Doesn't matter if you're in the treatment room, the therapy room, the classroom, the seminar room, the negotiation room, the courtroom. We're going to show it works everywhere. That's the beauty of this. They work no matter where you do them, right? We're going to teach you how to have people hanging on your every word. How to have them literally salivating to do what you want them to do for their own reasons, which is the best reason to get anybody to do anything. Finally, we're going to touch on how to control your emotions and remove resistance to your own influence. What if it were possible? Let me ask you a question. What if it were possible to actually get somebody to want to do the things they just told you they did not want to do in as little as 2 or 3 minutes? Would that be a useful skill to have? What do you think? Okay. Stay till the end of the webinar, take all the notes, do all the drills, and I guarantee you I will teach you about how to do that. Okay? And finally, if you're ready for the exact steps needed to go from interesting information to maximum transformation in minimum time, you're in the right place. Okay? That being said, let's talk about the first piece, which is the secret back door to the human nervous system. This is when I finally, I knew this technique for many, many years. And it still astonishes me to this day how people don't use it, especially people trained in NLP, which is where I first learned it. Since then, other disciplines have actually come to the same conclusion that NLP did. David Grove came up with it, came to that same conclusion. The FBI in their hostage negotiation processes came to this exact same conclusion about this technique. And if you understand this technique, it literally forces a person's neurology to pay attention to you. Okay? Would that be a useful skill to have? To talk to somebody in a way that they can't focus on anything but what you're saying and they absolutely feel compelled to keep listening. Would that be useful? Cool. We're going to talk about that. That'll be one of the first things we do. We're going to talk about the secrets of emotional bonding and attraction. You see, each and every one of us is carrying inside a little checklist for what constitutes what is right in our world. Like, for example, many, many years ago, I created a course for lovers. It was called Secret Orgasm Tips. And it was a course that taught any partner how to be their partner's ideal lover the first time they were together, even if they'd never been together before. And it was all about this understanding that inside each and every human being is an idealized checklist of phenomena. So example, if you could touch somebody in the place that their ideal fantasy lover always wanted them to be touched, always wanted them to touch them, if you could just read their mind and give it to them, what would that be like? Well, let's do this. Let's play a little game. I don't usually do this on influence webinars, but I want to play a little bit. Would that be okay? Can I share something with you really, really quick? Okay. So, like I said, I don't normally do this. What I'm about to guide you through is a little bit of a trance process. So if you're driving a vehicle, don't do this. If you want to participate in this, all I want you to do is pull off to the side of the road, put the car in park, put the parking brake on, turn off the ignition, make sure weirdos aren't going to come knocking on your window. It's not going to be a very deep trance, but again, people go into trance is funny. I want you to just close your eyes for a moment. Right? And I want you to imagine you meet someone. And the moment you meet them, they knew exactly how to talk to you in the way that made you feel the most paid attention to and understood and accepted that you've ever felt. When they went to touch you, they touched you in exactly the right place, in exactly the right way, at exactly the right time, that you've always thought it was the best way to do it. You've always fantasized about. And if they kissed you exactly the way you always thought a perfect kiss should be. And they gave you all the feelings you always fantasized the perfect partner might give you. Let me ask you a question. If you met someone like that, what would you not do for them? What would you not do for them? Right? And again, type your answers in the chat. Now let me ask you, Sophia says, I understand. I would do anything, nothing I married her. Let her go. Nothing. There's nothing you would not do for that person, right? Exactly. What if you could do that contextually specific? What if you could do that for everyone? Because everyone you meet is sending very powerful signals to you that tell you exactly how to do that. Now, I gave you a romantic context, but the same principles apply in business. The same principles apply in teaching. The same principles apply in every form of human interaction. Okay? Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that when I was describing what I was describing, you guys were having feelings, true or not? True or not true? Yeah. And I'm betting they were pretty good feelings, weren't they? Now here's the funny part. All I did, folks, was describe the checklist. I didn't even match it. You understand? All I did was describe the checklist. Right? So, one of the very first things that you need to understand is that human beings have this kind of a mechanism inside of them for everything. For everything. Okay? And I understand that there are exceptions to every rule, but if you look at the vast majority of people, by the way, if bad feelings came up, you probably got some stuff to clear. Sophia says, David, where is he? That exact description. Well, if you read my book, I'll show you how to make them. And that was really one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we got when we released that book back in 2005, I used to get calls at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, David, thank you. You saved my marriage. Right? Yeah. We had to actually take that book off of our website. But if you call Stephanie and ask nice, she can get you an access to it. All right. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you because this is the level of feeling that we're talking about, and we can take it even deeper if we actually find out what's on their checklist and give it to them. Does that make sense? Oh, the course is called Secret Orgasm Tips, right? So that's part of where we're going tonight. That we call that the secrets of emotional bonding. We're going to talk about 4 macro categories of human influence. They're too broad to cover in depth, but we'll touch on them a little bit so you can figure out what pillar you want to focus on. We call these the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence. And then finally, towards part 3 of the webinar, we're going to teach you about how to remove resistance to stuff. Right? We're going to teach you how to take control of your life, of your communication, and get people absolutely thrilled and excited to be in your presence, to be part of your entourage or whatever. So does that sound like a good place to start? What do you think? You guys ready to play? All right. So first and foremost, I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to give you a bunch of other stuff too. How many of you would like to be up to 30% better at everything? Anybody? Type it in the chat. All right. Here's how you really rock this stuff. This is how you hack everything I'm about to teach you in the next 2 or 3 hours. Here it is. Besides do the drills, I want you to be as playful, curious, and explorational as humanly possible. The studies show, even in cases like hostage negotiation, when the operator, the person seeking to exert influence, presents themselves from a fun, easygoing, playful energy, they are 30% more perceptive, 30% or more adaptable, 30% more persuasive, and their counterpart, the person they're seeking, they're doing these things with, is 30% more compliant. Would it be useful, A, to be smarter, faster, more creative, more adept, more adaptable, more of that stuff, and have the person you're doing it with be 30% more compliant to you? Yes or yes? All you got to do is have fun and be playful. Now, you can. What's interesting about that particular statistic is it doesn't seem to really matter what the context is. Like, I used to do a tremendous amount of trauma work in my clinic in Solana Beach, and you would think that when people come in with these very intense, everything from active shooters to child molestation to spousal abuse, PTSD of all kinds, you would think that seriousness would be the more appropriate emotion. It actually isn't. Seriousness, believe it or not, is the kiss of death, therapeutically. But the more easygoing, the more explorational, the more curious you become, the more you bypass people's defenses, and they in turn become more curious about you. All right? William Crawford's been, I did DEDA on me, yeah. Okay, good to see you again, William. So, fun, playful, easygoing. Now, I'm going to teach you another quick trick, if that's okay. This is be something from, some people on YouTube are asking me earlier about healing techniques. Well, unfortunately, I had to tell her that this is not the right webinar for healing techniques, but I'm going to give you something that will help you to hack your state control, which is the ability to enter or exit any psycho-emotional state at will. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, if you can, stand up to do this. If not, that's okay too. But I seem to get better results from people when they stand. I want you to, again, if you're driving, don't do this. Right? If you want to participate in this piece, pull off to the side of the road, put the car in park, put on the parking brake, turn off the engine, make sure no one's going to disturb you. It's only going to take 3 or 4 minutes to do. But this is the next technique that I want to share with you. And this goes to something we call state control in killer influence as well as the CPI systems. Everything in our world, the real Jedi power and the stuff you'll almost never see on a public YouTube video is our state control training. We turn people into Jedi, and state control is the one power, the one ability that just seems to get stronger and stronger and stronger as time goes by. Nobody's found a top level to it yet. But we're going to give you one quick technique that you can play with. I want you to stand up. I want you to close your eyes. And I'm curious if you might be able to imagine or remember something for me. I'm wondering if you could remember a time in your life when you felt the most amazing, thrilling, fulfilling, satisfying pleasure imaginable. I mean, on a scale of 0 to 10, it's like a 27. I want you to close your eyes, remember that amazing feeling, that amazing experience. Now, I'm not the pleasure police. I don't care what it was. I don't care who you were with, how many laws you broke, how many substances were involved, how many state lines you crossed. I don't give a shit. There's my politically incorrect humor and profanity, right? All I care about is that when you remember that amazing experience, when you see what you see and you hear what you hear and you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, there is an amazing, wonderful, beautiful feeling that you get, a feeling of absolute pleasure. And I'd like you to notice that there's a place in your body where those wonderful feelings start, where they grow, where they spread from. Take a moment, first impression, point to where you feel it. Now, look at it with your inner eyes. Look at that feeling with your inner eyes and notice that there's a color. Maybe even a series of colors connected to those amazing feelings. I'm curious, I'm wondering what color or colors that might be for you, first impression. Now, you don't have to type it in the chat. I just want you to imagine a brilliant ball of that energy floating above your head. I'd like you to notice how the feelings in your body shift and changes with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. That amazing ball of energy, that pleasure begins to grow, begins to expand, begins to fill the entire room, from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, and all points in between. Notice how it wraps itself around you like an amazing blanket of pleasure. A cocoon, a shield, a suit of armor, insulating you, protecting you from all less than pleasurable experiences, real or imagined, while at the same time flooding your mind, flooding your body, flooding your spirit with everything you most want, everything you most need in an infinite, ever-expanding, and unlimited supply. And when you know you've got that, breathe those amazing colors through your entire being. Let it fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon. Anchor it in so fully, so completely, no force in the universe can turn it off or take it away. Not even you. When you realize it's true, test it. Try to turn it off. Try to take it away and notice what happens instead. When you're satisfied, type what you experienced in the chat. I'm smiling, Sophia says. Unconditional love, beautiful. Again, oh my God, it feels so good, tingly. It's just, how about that? Now, here's the first rule of human influence. I want you shivering. All right, we got some happy people there, right? I love through my whole body. Excellent. You think this would be a useful skill to have every time you need to get up in the morning, hit yourself with a big blast of pleasure like this? You think that'd be a good thing? You can also use it to heal your body. I'm going to tell you that right now. We can't cover it in this webinar, but you can use this. I've used this to shrink tumors. I've used this to get rid of chronic pain. I've used this for a lot of things. I'm teaching it to you so that now anytime you want to, anytime you need to, you have a powerful, positive state that will change your reticular activating system. It'll change how you see the world, and you will radiate pleasure out into the world. Just having that. It'll take the edge off of any nervousness that you may have. All kinds of things you can do with this. Now, the reason I shared this with you is because the system I'm teaching from is called CPI and Killer Influence. Okay? And I'm going to share my screen really quick. What I'm about to show you is what we call the Universal Persuasion Protocol. Right? First and foremost, first rule of influence, you never enter any persuasion situation without first knowing what you want to achieve. Then you control your state, you get rapport, you use the language skills that you have, you manage their state, you jump into their process, and you link to their values, that checklist I talked about. In NLP, we call that a criteria and values checklist, okay? So, I'm going to repeat this 3 times. Whenever you're in any kind of a situation where you need to exert influence, the first thing you're going to do is know your outcome. In other words, what do I want to accomplish, right? Then you're going to control your state. Then you're going to get rapport with the subject. You're going to use whatever language skills that you have. You're going to use those to manage the state of your subject. You're going to find whatever process they use to make the decision or engage in the behavior that you want them to make. And you're going to bond to what they most want in their heart. That's criteria and values. Okay? So once again, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage their state, jump into their process, link to their criteria and values. Now, obviously, on a 3 hour, these are 3 and 5 and 7 day trainings that we're talking about. So I'd obviously, in a 2 or 3 hour webinar, I couldn't possibly go through every single thing, but I wanted to give you the big picture. This is the universal persuasion protocol that you can deploy in any situation or circumstance. We're going to drill down on a few key areas that cover as much of the first few. We're actually going to focus on, I just gave you the state control piece. The next piece is going to be covering rapport and language. And then the next piece will be bonding to their criteria and values. So obviously there's whole bodies of technique for each of these, but we don't have time, so I'm going to give you just the things you absolutely need to know to be effective right away. Is that okay? Is that cool? Cool. All right. Let me go ahead and erase these things so that when my next class, I don't have all these little markings. So the first technique I want to share with you is the hidden passcode to the human nervous system. It's easily one of the simplest techniques to do, and there are so many good things that it does for you. I am constantly amazed that more people who know about this technique don't use it. It's called the echo technique, and here's the way it works. First and foremost, the most powerful words that any human being can hear at any given moment are the words that just came out of their mouths. Let me repeat that a couple more times. The most powerful words that any human being can hear at any given moment are the words that just came out of their mouth. One more time with feeling. The most powerful words any human can hear at any given moment, including their name, are the words that just came out of their mouth. And the closer, here's where it gets really cool. The closer to verbatim you give them their very own words back, the better it works. Now, you don't have to believe any of this. All you got to do is go out into the world and do it. Okay? So are you guys ready to jump into how the mechanics of this so you can take it out and start proving me right? Yes or yes? Okay. So, there's some people who feel that when they hear their own words back, they get annoyed. Let me talk about that for a minute, okay? This technique works whether you're doing it sincerely or not. What does that mean? It means some people will view this as a trick, a hack, to pull over on people. I'm going to suggest that if you adopt that mindset, you'll get caught in a bad way. However, I want you to think about the echo technique, which we're about to cover, as a way of life. Why? Because this is the way the universe and evolution and God and little green apples program human beings to actually respond most powerfully to being communicated this way. It is the most ethical, honest, and powerful way to communicate with another human being. So just for grins and giggles, how many of you think of themselves as shy? Anybody? How many of you, like me, hate small talk? Anybody? Anybody hate small talk? Introverts count, yes. Right? What if there was a way that you could go up and have a great conversation with anyone and they were talking 80% of the time or more? Would that be useful? and they came away from that conversation thinking you were the most fascinating person they ever met. All you got to do is sincerely echo their words back to them. What do I mean by sincerely? Echo them from a sincere desire to signal to them that you hear them, you understand them, you accept what they're saying, and to some degree, you agree with it. One technique can do all that and so much more. But the secret is, what's the place you're coming from? Are you coming from a place of, if I use this, people will like me and love me and trust me and do whatever I say and I can get anything I want? Or are you coming from a place where this is the way human beings love to be communicated with, and that makes them feel the most heard, understood, validated, makes them want to tell me more, and makes them attach those feelings to me? If you come from that place, the connections you feel will be real. And they will move heaven and earth to spend more and more and more time with you. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Okay, let's jump into some of the echo technique. I'll do a brief demo. Then we're going to jump right into the heart of the checklist we talked about earlier. Okay. We go back to the echo technique. So, dun, da, 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 the echo technique. How to get maximum attention in minimum time. This is the most powerful way to communicate with any human being. You don't got to believe me. Okay? Just go do it. Okay? The echo technique literally forces a person's neurology to pay attention almost exclusively to you and to screen out everything else. If you've ever had the experience, how many of you have ever been to a party? You guys ever been to a party? Right? Maybe you're at a party. Maybe you've had this experience, right? You're at a party, people everywhere, you're across the room, and somebody on the other side of the room says your name. And you hear them from across the room and you turn and look. Ever have that happen? How does that work? It works because your unconscious mind is constantly screening the environment for anything that is relevant to you. Understand that? So what happens, human beings move through the world sending out signals, kind of like radar or sonar, that mirror their internal world, the internal systems that they have. And when they reach somebody and somebody reflects it back, they can't help themselves. It's like all of a sudden something showed up on your radar and you can't take your eyes off it. The term is called OODA loop. You observe, you orient, you decide, you act. So you're scanning the environment. That's the observation point. Something triggers you that is unusual. Usually it's extreme difference or extreme sameness. And boom, all of a sudden you're focused on that. And the more of your words that you get coming back from you, the more your neurology starts to go on high alert, because it's getting a direct message-to-message match. It's a key to lock fit between the filters in your neurology, what you most want to hear, and the things that are emotionally relevant to you. When you give these words back, you trigger an identification process that moves you deeper and deeper and deeper into deep neurological rapport with the other person. They literally are getting pleasure feelings just from listening to you talk their words back to them. Okay? If you've ever had a problem with making small talk, one of the first things, and don't believe me, ask the veterans in the chat. One of the first things that happens when you effectively echo somebody's communication back to them is they start talking more. They start running off at the mouth. They start becoming very, very focused on self-disclosure, right? They start giving you more and more information because they want to make sure you get it right. They've never had somebody listen to them at this level before, and it feels so good, they can't stop but go for it again. So if you've ever been worried about small talk, the problem with small talk goes right out the window, because 80% of what you're going to say most of the time is the words that just came out of their mouth. You're going to ask another question. I will teach you the formula. We call it the master echo sequence. You just take this thing out into the world and deploy it, and you just watch the lights go on. Be careful though, because if you do this with people who can't escape, like waiters, bartenders, busboys, caddies, people who can't, they will actually forget their other customers and focus on you. You might get a lot of free desserts out of it, but you might get them in trouble with their boss because you become the person they want to spend the most time with. If you're in the service profession and you want bigger tips, echo their words. You'll be amazed. Don't believe me, just go do it. Okay? So what else? But we haven't even scratched the surface yet of what this thing can do. Let's look at some other stuff. Okay, so it'll also prime your target to keep talking and give you more and more information about them at the same time, right? It sends powerful, powerful signals of sameness to the listener. You guys remember when I took you on that little journey about if you met the person who knew how to talk to you in exactly the way you've always wanted to be talked to, could touch you the way you've always wanted to be touched and fantasized about being touched, that could kiss you or do the things for you that you've always fantasized that your perfect partner might do? This is it. It's the same process. When I was describing that to you, do you remember the feelings that arose in your body? One of the reasons is because when a person receives signals from the outside world that matches their internal checklist, whether it's a shallow level or a deep level, they can't not respond. Do you understand? This is impossible to not respond to. And if you do it right, even if you get caught, it works in your favor. Because if someone says to you, why are you repeating the words I say? All you got to do is look at them and from the sincere heart say, I just want you to know that I understand you and I want to understand you better. Is that okay? Now, if the person says no to a sincere statement like that, they've got bigger problems than you. Okay? This technique literally, again, it's been used in therapy, it's been used in hostage negotiation. It's ridiculous how powerful this thing is, but it's so simple. People think it can't possibly be as powerful. But I don't want you to take my word for it. I just want you to go do it. I want you to try to get caught. Well, actually, it does help you keep track of what you say. One of the things when I teach this, and I spend a long time in trainings getting people good at this. What this actually does for people who are trained in NLP is it teaches you how to remember longer and longer strings of information that you can analyze later. But you don't have to analyze it. Because if you use echo technique properly, it actually compresses 7 different NLP techniques together. You can accomplish 7 different levels of influence by doing one thing. It makes your job ridiculously easy. Okay? Ridiculously easy, right? So it matches every internal filter that they have, and it indirectly links to their emotional needs, which is the center of that persuasion target that we talked about. That criterion values checklist is the list of their emotional needs and how they get them met. Once you understand what a person's emotional needs are, and you know how to satisfy them, they will almost always do what you want by default. Because it's in their best interest at a deep cognitive and emotional level to do that. People are always focused on what's in their best interest. And the moment you speak to what's in their best interest, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, they can't not do it. They can't not do it. Okay? So, what do? You just repeat their words back verbatim. Okay? So, let me give you a quick demo. Would that be okay? Would this be useful? Answer yes. For many years, I showed you at the beginning of the webinar, I showed you I was a career martial artist for many years. And when I lived in Coral Springs, Florida, which is where I had my school, if you spit more than half a mile in any direction, you tripped over another karate school. There were karate schools everywhere. Literally mile and a half down the street was one of the largest karate schools in the United States. It had over 1,500 students, right? And I was just starting out. I didn't have a marketing budget. I didn't have anything. So I had to find a way to book clients, and I had about 100, 150 students by the time I was, all told. And so what I did was I used a variation of the criterion values checklist and the echo technique to sign up my students, and it would sound a lot like this. It would go, ring, ring, good afternoon, Coral Springs Martial Arts Academy. This is David. How can I help you? Hi, David. My name is Bernice. I'm looking for karate lessons for my 10-year-old son, Josh. And I saw your sign in the window as I was walking down the strip center. Oh, hey Bernice. So you're looking for 10-year-old son? Karate, are you looking for karate lessons for your 10-year-old son Josh? And you said you saw us while you're the sign in the window when you're walking down the strip center. Yeah, yeah. Do you have classes for a 10-year-old? Bernice, we absolutely have classes for a 10-year-old. But just so I understand you better, so we can make sure that we have the class that's right for Josh, I'm curious. I'm wondering, what's important to you about karate lessons for your son Josh? You know, David, I'm glad you asked. You know, look, I'm going to be honest with you. You know, Josh is a great kid. He's super smart. In fact, he's so smart that his parents, or his teachers rather, his teachers actually moved him a grade ahead. And that's actually one of the reasons I'm calling, is because Josh is not big for his age. And he's a great kid, but he's going to a grade where everybody's really, really much older than him, bigger than him. And I'm afraid, that the workload might be a little much. And I'm afraid that the bigger kids might pick on him. And I heard that martial arts was a great way for kids to be able to build self-confidence and focus and improve their study habits and be able to kind of protect themselves from bullies and kind of stand up for themselves. Do you have anything like that? Oh, I see, Bernice. So let me see if I understand you better. Josh is a great kid. He's really smart, but he's really small for his age. In fact, he's so smart that his teachers moved him up a grade. Yeah, that's right. And you're worried that the older kids who are bigger than him might actually pick on him a little bit, and you'd heard the workload might be a little hard, so you wanted to be able to get more focus, more concentration. You heard that martial arts was a good way to do that. Yeah, David, can you help me? Bernice, absolutely. In fact, for centuries, martial arts has been one of the premier ways for kids just like Josh, kids who are maybe small for their small for their age, super smart. You can often be the target to bullies. It's a great way for kids to learn how to be focused, concentrate more, stand up to themselves, and really get a leg up in the world and be able to stand up for themselves. And when you walk through the world with the willingness and the ability to protect yourself, bullies just tend to look the other way. They look for easier targets. So I think we have a class that's perfect for Josh. It'll help him develop his focus, his concentration. It'll help him to stand up to himself and carry himself in a way that bullies won't think of him as an easy target. And if they do pick on him, he'll have the techniques and the skills that'll really protect him in a way that keeps him out of trouble, but also keeps him on the straight and narrow so he can get the good grades that his teachers believed he was capable of when they moved him up. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in testing? Wow, that sounds amazing. What do I do next? Well, it's very simple, Bernice. All you got to do is I'm going to take your name and information. We have a class tonight that Josh can come in and sit on. There's a 15-minute private lesson, and then we'll integrate him into the group class, and he can try it out. We'll introduce him to some of the kids that he can kind of make friends that way. And then we have a trial program, comes with a free uniform for kids, and if he likes it, we'll go ahead and register him, and we'll make sure that he's on the fast track to becoming the best version of himself, and you don't have to worry about him quite so much. I also have an appointment tomorrow at 6. Which one will be better for you? I think, can we do tonight? I think I can pick him up early, and I'll bring him in after dinner, and we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited, David. Thank you. All right, let me just take your information. We'll see you and Josh here about 5:30. Boom. Click. 99% of the people who went through that process showed up. What do you think? And it's all very quiet. Remember, this is the interactive part of the webinar. Right? How much of what I said came out of Bernice's mouth? It works just like that. Now, what you saw in that demo was the first technique, which is the echo technique, and then I transitioned immediately into what is commonly referred to as the emotional bonding checklist. And to really appreciate that, you have to experience it. Would you like to experience the emotional bonding checklist for yourself? Okay. So, for this next, before I go into that, you know what? I was going to teach you the master echo sequence, how to actually do it in the real world, but I'll save that for part 3 of the webinar. I want us to get into the emotional bonding checklist so you can feel what it's like. Now, the emotional bonding checklist has 2 versions. There's a version that you use on yourself, and there's a version that you use with anybody who you want to like, trust, love you, and work with you, either as a prospect, a client, a partner, whatever. So we're going to do this as a way to motivate. We're going to learn this as a way to bond with another human being and link what they want to what we have to offer. But we can also use it to motivate ourselves. And that for a lot of us, and we cover this more in we cover this a lot more in like how to reprogram your subconscious mind, which is another webinar that we do. Anytime you can tap into your emotional needs, your emotional reasons for doing anything, the resistance to doing it, the resistance to going for it just drops. Okay? So here's what I'd like you to do. I need you to get out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. I would like you, preferably, to handwrite out what I'm about to share with you. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you the template that I'd like you to follow. Okay, let's go here. By the way, has this been useful so far? Have you guys learned anything? Okay, cool. All right, so this is the emotional motivation checklist. It's also known, depending on the subject, hold on a second, is the emotional, emotional bonding checklist. So when you do it for yourself, it's emotional motivation. When you do it with others, it's emotional bonding. You guys make the distinction? It's the same process. It's just, are you doing it for yourself, by yourself, or are you using it with another human being? So the first thing I want you to write down, when you signed up for today's webinar, Michael's asking, would the echo technique work through texting? 1000%. The echo technique, let me be very, very clear and very, very explicit. The echo technique works in any medium where language is involved. That means texting, chats, Zoom, on the phone, in an email. What have I not mentioned? Physical letters. If language is involved, sexting, absolutely. But that's text, Alejandro. But the bottom line is actually, yeah, it does. It's crazy powerful in that context, Alejandro, just so you know. Okay? Again, any place where language is being used, this works. So when you signed up for today's webinar, when you saw what we were advertising, there's something in your life that you really, really want. On a scale of 0 to 10, it's probably like a 27, right? That you felt, I'm going to go out on a limb here, that you felt that getting the tools and following the instructions and doing what we tell you to do in this webinar would get for you. True or not true? Okay. Whatever that thing is, I want you to write it. I want you, part A, write what you want to achieve, to have, to own, to experience as a result of the techniques you get from this training and the webinar and the packages that we're talking about. Just write that down. What's it going to be, right? Again, when you've done that, go ahead and type done in the chat so I know. Okay. Now, once you've done that, I want you to put a little indent and type I, or a number 1. And I want you to stop for a moment. Again, if you're driving, don't do this. If you're operating heavy machinery, don't do this. I want you to imagine you actually got it. You actually followed the instructions, you used the techniques taught in this webinar, you got the programs, you got the packages, right? And you got that thing. Whatever it was, you got it. What's important about having it? What's it going to do? What's it doing for you? What's important about that? I want you to write that question. What's important about doing it, or what's important about having it? And then write your answer right below that. So it should look something like this. Again, you don't have to type it in the chat. I want you to write it on a piece of paper so you have it. So what's it going to do for you? So I might say, What do I want? I want to make more money. Okay, I'm using the techniques that I got from this program that we're offering, and I'm making more money. What's that going to do for me? And maybe it's safety, security, freedom. I don't know. Whatever the words, whatever pops up into your mind first, write that down in the exact language that your brain used. Right? If it's 3 or 4 paragraphs, then write 3 or 4 paragraphs. I don't care. Write that down. Directly below that, and when you're done, type done in the chat. Okay, perfect. All right, next layer. Now imagine you've gotten that. You're feeling, like again, using my example, you're feeling that safety, that freedom, that security to do the things you want whenever you want. You're enjoying that. What's important about that freedom? What's it doing for you? What's it making you feel? Maybe you're getting that brand new car you've always wanted. Maybe you're you're starting that you're in that 7-figure business. What's that gonna do for you? What's important about that? So I want you to drill down. What's important about getting this, right? And whatever comes up, use the exact word. You gotta use the exact words, folks. You gotta use the exact words, okay? And then ultimately, if you had this, and you got this, and you got this, ultimately, if you had all of that, what would be the result? What would that do for you? What's important about having it? Right? And write it out. Okay? Don't be bashful. Okay? And when you're done, when you've gotten all 3 levels written out, just type done in the chat. Safety and comfort. Beautiful. What's important about safety and comfort? If you had that safety and that comfort, what would that do for you? What would that allow you to experience? And what's important about it? Right? Need to see those? Okay, I'll show you. I'll show it one more time. I don't want people to get distracted. And let me expand my screen. So can everybody see? Okay. Oops. Okay, good. Good. So when you're done, you've got all 3 levels. Okay, so when you have words like power and limited, power means different things to different people. What does power mean to you, Consuelo? Financial freedom means different things to different people. What does that mean to you? What is it going to allow you to do? And what's important about that? Drill down. Right? Now here's the secret. Here's how you know you're doing it right. If you're starting to feel emotions, the deeper you dig, you're doing it right. Love, warmth, excellent. Yeah, very good. Okay, so does everybody have a chance to screenshot this? Yes or no? Purpose. Okay, good. All right, so let's go to the next part. You use the word feel. Very good. And we'll talk about feelings during part 3 because that's actually one of the secrets. All right, so here's what I want you to do now. So you've got your paper, yes? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to hold it up at about a 45-degree angle. And I want you, hold on a second, some stuff in the chat. I haven't screenshotted yet, okay. All right, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to screenshot it, okay? Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to do now. Hold it up. And now what I want you to do, I want you to read your answers, only your answers, out loud 5 times in a row. Go from A to C, only your answers, read them out loud 5 times in a row, and type done when you've done that. As you link everything we've talked about to what we're doing, and you realize how these skills can move you forward towards that life at a fast and accelerated rate, as you speak these out loud 5 times, And when you're done, type done, and then tell me in the chat, what did you feel? Sophia says I'm getting tickles. Is that a good tickle, I'm assuming? Done. All over, yes. Okay. Confidence. Done. Perfect. What did you feel? Inspiration? Lightness, giggly, safe? Beautiful. Clarity? How about that? You guys in the law of attraction? If you did this process for the things you want to manifest, it would manifest faster and easier. This is how you know you did it right. If you're feeling a massive rush of energy and emotion, you did it right. Now, okay, then Denise, we probably have some clearing for you to do. Come to our How to Reprogram Your Subconscious Mind workshop. We'll show you how to clear that. Okay. So here's the deal. What if you had the ability to make everyone you meet, everyone you do business with, everyone you're in a relationship with, feel like this about you? Would that be useful? You got it, David the Glow? Would you like to know how it works? Would you like to be able to do that? Can I show you the whole package? All right. So, that being said, with your permission, I'd like us to go ahead and share with you something I put together that will, again, take your skills to the next level, that will show you how to rapidly do the entire... Remember, I'm only showing you bits and pieces of the entire system. Would you like the whole system? I can show you how to get it. Would that be okay? Okay, cool. So here we go. If you're ready to take it to the next level, this is what we got. With your permission, I'd like to teach you about our Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Mastery Home Study course. This is a course that I've put together specifically for our virtual audience. It's designed to take you from novice to master of human influence in the shortest amount of time possible. It's going to teach you how to reach into people's hearts and minds, find out what they most need and want, and show them how to get everything that they need and want by doing what you want them to do and loving you and feeling amazing about you in the process. It's about never hearing no again. Okay, so what's in this course? Well, first and foremost, it's all about taking your life to the next level. So what are you going to be able to do? Make more money, close more deals, get more dates, help more people, feel more confident. You'll have more personal power in your life than you ever thought possible. If you've always felt like you've been playing small, like you need to level up in the game of life, this is going to give you the edge that you need in an ethical and honest way that allows you to move through a society where the ability to get people to want to do the things that you need them to do is the ultimate survival skill. As a byproduct, you'll become more charming, charismatic, and ultimately socially and professionally irresistible. It's really, 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 I'm actually understating what this stuff can do for you if you apply it. Again, it doesn't really matter how much you know if you don't do any of it, but if you do it, it'll work for you. So this offer is good until 11:59 p.m. tonight. It's March 16th, 2022. And the first thing we're going to talk about and give you is the 17-video, 7-stage Universal Persuasion Protocol training. This kind of goes through each of the 7 segments of the Universal Persuasion Protocol that I showed you about, how to create powerful outcomes, how to know when you're getting it, how to master your state like a pro so no one can push your buttons ever again, and how to go from any emotional state you want and need and transfer it to another human being at will. It's a $297 value. We're going to teach you how to do bridging, where you can actually create powerful emotional states in the minds and bodies of other people so that they become automatically primed and predisposed to listening to what you have to say in the most useful way imaginable. And it's impossible to be caught. It's completely ethical and honest. It's $297 value. We're going to teach you power rapport skills for connecting with anyone, anytime, anywhere. In our particular systems, we divide rapport into 3 types. You have kinesthetic rapport, you have what we call classical rapport, which is the kind of rapport you will learn in an NLP class or sales training, and then you have what we call vibing. And vibing is a very special form of rapport that is used specifically for attraction and relationship and romantic applications. So kinesthetic rapport is a deep neurological coherence between your brain and another person's heart. We show you how to create it, how to manage it, how to utilize that connection to connect with people from across the room, from across the table, and when you get really good at it, you can do it from across the planet. We've tested this through Zoom, we've tested it with the cameras on, we've tested it with the cameras off. It creates tremendous rapport and connection and liking and trusting in people, and you can use it in so many different ways. Again, $297 value for that module alone. We're going to teach you the 7 most powerful, irresistible hypnotic language patterns. These are patterns that are so powerful that just using them will force people's brains to do things that you wouldn't believe. I mean, think about it. What if it were possible? Think about this for a moment. Imagine you have this ability right now. What if it were possible to make anything you want cause anything you want in the minds of your listeners, in the minds of your readers? What would you do with that, with a power like that, to take any 2 things that have absolutely nothing to do with each other and make one the cause of the other in the minds of your listeners? And what if it was so powerful that when you use this pattern, they just assumed it was true? Even if it was completely junko logic. That's the power of one of the very first patterns that you'll be learning. The next pattern is going to teach you how to make anything you want mean anything you want in the minds of the listener. Okay? That's pattern number 2. Pattern number 3 is going to show you how to force a person's internal cognition to orient on exactly the things you describe, and to the exclusion of everything else, and to automatically begin to undergo any state or process or experience that you name using this pattern. Okay? And in fact, it's so powerful that even when the person you're doing it with knows it's being done, they can't fight it. Okay? What if it were possible to make a person's internal mind movies exactly what you want them to be without 0 chance of error or mistranslation? What if you could force a person's internal mind pictures to be exactly what you describe and still have them feel completely natural about it because they made it up themselves? That's language pattern number 4. There's 7. Those are only the first 4 patterns. Okay? Combine that with your echo technique, which is the ultimate hypnotic inducer. In other words, it's going to create such a deep level of connection, rapport, and awareness that people will hang on your every word anyway. Think about each of the pieces I'm describing. Now think about what the entire system together can do. Okay? That's just part of what you'll be learning in the irresistible hypnotic language pattern. That will teach you how to subliminally communicate with people. We'll teach you how to bind people's thoughts and how to link things to their emotional bonding checklist using these language patterns that make it completely ethical, honest, and natural, and people will be just completely, they'll think you're the most charming, charismatic person they've ever been with. Okay? We're going to teach you how to take all of that, all the state control, all the rapport skills, all the language patterns, and use those to put people through the sequence of emotional states and experiences that they need to want to do what you want them to do for their reasons. They'll be so loyal, fanatical, and faithful to you from the process of doing this. It's almost unfair, but it's actually the most fair way to actually share and communicate with another human being. It's a $297 value. Then finally, once you understand the echo technique, once you understand the emotional bonding checklist, one of the things we're going to teach you how to do is how to look at people's language differently so that you can spot their patterns, their code, the structure that their brain uses to do any behavior or have any feeling. And I'll teach you how to take your message and put it into that pattern so people run your instructions like it's their own idea. Doing what you want will become so natural for these people that it'll be like their own idea right from the beginning, which is always the best way to go. The best way to get anybody to do what you want them to do is have them create their own reasons for wanting to do it. Human beings always work in their own best self-interest, so when you work from that perspective, getting people to do the things you want them to do is as simple as finding out why they might want to do them. Right? And of course, we talked about the emotional bonding checklist, how you can use this to cement people to you in a fanatically loyal way. We'll also show you how to use it to make people go away and never come back. Okay, $297 value. But we're not done there. We're going to include the killer influence Ultimate Mind Control Manifesto. And this is a 240-page manual that covers the entire 7-stage universal persuasion protocol, but then it teaches you things that aren't based on language. So we'll talk to you about proxemic spatial or proxemic hypnotic operators. Operators are how you manage the spatial relationships between you and another person. Simple, powerful things that psychologically position you in the minds of your subject so that they automatically think about you in the best possible light. Right? So there are certain places that if you sit at a meeting table, the people at the table will take you more seriously. They will give you more authority. They will listen to your suggestions and statements more readily than if you sit in other areas of the table. Where you stand on a person's dominant or non-dominant side will dramatically impact how much they like you. These are things you can't get caught doing, and once you understand how they work, you'll have trouble not doing them because they just make sense to do. But there will be times in your life, there will be situations and circumstances and environments where you can't use some language because the noise level or the amount of activity going on, and you have to rely on other things, and that's where these other applications come in. Spatial hypnotic operators, extraordinarily powerful. Other behavioral modification tools are what we call social hypnotic operators. These are hypnotic instructions that society has programmed into each and every man, woman, and child. If you're familiar with any of Dr. Robert Cialdini's work, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, we talk about these 5 basic hypnotic operators: reciprocity, liking, commitment and consistency, scarcity, among others. These are all very powerful hypnotic triggers that human beings will actually respond to automatically. And yes, Alejandro, authority. And in fact, one of the four pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence that you're going to learn in this course is actually authority, attractivity, acquiescence, and affinity. These are what we call the 4 horsemen of irresistible hypnotic influence. And if you understand how they work, which we cover in depth in the manual, you will know how to leverage these influence tools in any situation or circumstance so that people automatically want to please you, they feel compelled to please you, and they're going to go along with the rest of the group because that's what the rest of the group is doing. Each of those categories by themselves is powerful. When you combine them, you get absolute compliance in minimum time. That's part of the manual that's included. So $418 value. You'll also learn about other types of neurological filters that people have. Like meta programs. You'll talk about cold reading, which is how to look at people and literally size them up and know things about them that their best friends don't know, and it gives you tremendous psychological authority over them, and you can make predictions about how they're going to behave in certain situations. We're going to talk about gray hat area things called DRTs. DRT is a little tongue-in-cheek method of saying dirty, rotten tricks. These are persuasion tactics that other people might be using on you or that you might need to use in certain situations. So $418 value. What were the 4 A's? Authority, affinity, acquiescence, and attractivity. So $418 value. Total price is $2,497 for that training, right? But as you can probably guess, because it's a package, as the old Ronco commercials used to say, but wait, there's more, right? If you grab your package now, you'll also get these special bonuses. The first one we're going to talk about is Weapons of Mass Instruction. This is the art and science of neurologically enhanced storytelling and metaphor trainings. The most powerful influence tool in the world, the tool that's shaped the course of human history, is the power of storytelling and story work and metaphor. In this program, we're going to teach you step by step by step the 5 different areas of story application. We're going to teach you how to do stories for connection, stories for leadership, motivation, sales, and marketing. And we're going to teach you some of the most powerful storytelling secrets, which are called Omega stories. Omega stories have the ability to reduce resistance to your influence. So think about if in an alpha story, for example, let me do this. For those of you who are kind of chomping at the bit, if you go to killerinfluence.com/go, you can be one of the first people to get all the bonuses, right? It's killerinfluence.com/go. Right. When people start asking for the link, I just give it to them. But let me explain this. So the difference between an alpha story and an omega story. Let's say I have this big old filing cabinet, right? And it's really heavy. And I need to push it across the room. An alpha story would be me pushing behind it. and getting as many people as possible to kind of try and push the filing cabinet. That's an alpha story. These are stories that have persuasion push. They amplify your persuasiveness. Omega stories are different though, and you make them different. Omega stories are stories and tactics and techniques that remove resistance to persuasion. Remember earlier I told you, what if you could get people to want to do the things they just said they didn't want to do? Try it now. Oh wait, that's, hold on a second. So go to http://www.killerinfluence.com/go. Okay. Where was it? Okay. So alpha stories are persuasion push, right? Omega stories are different though. If I have this big old filing cabinet or this 1-ton weight that I need to move, but I don't have anybody to help me, I can either, if I take some oil, some really slippery oil, and I put it on the ground in front of and underneath the filing cabinet, now I can move the filing cabinet much easier because the friction is gone, right? So alpha stories and omega stories are complementary, but they're yin and yang of each other. And you use them tactically very differently. And then finally, we're going to talk to you about one of the most powerful applications of story that if you've ever been, how many people have ever been to a training like T. Harv Eker or Mark Victor Hansen or Lisa Sasevich, and at some point during the training, everybody gets up like a massive stampede and rushes to the back of the room. It's because embedded within the stories that they tell are about 10 to 14 other techniques that they never teach their trainers about, that you barely learn in an NLP class. So we call them ninja stories. And so this is where you use stories as a delivery mechanism to subliminally prime people to take certain actions, behaviors, to think a certain way, to reframe certain beliefs before they voice them. These are all the secrets behind the secret that people who are A-list and triple A-list presenters utilize. We're going to break apart transcripts from these trainings, and we're going to show you all the hidden stuff, how to create them, how to build them, so that when you tell stories to build your business or to teach your students, you can give the most powerful persuasion buck humanly possible. Okay? And again, this is really a big deal. Okay? So story work, and it's based on neuroscience, that human beings cannot resist the power of a story. You have two choices when someone starts telling a story. You either listen to the story or you leave. Either literally or metaphorically, because at some point the story, if it's done well with transportability, 6 characteristics that make a story irresistible, we're going to teach them all to you in this course, so that when you tell a story, people are hanging on your every word. Right? Now think about the 17 videos that we talked about, right? The CPI model, the Universal Persuasion Protocol, everything in the Killer Influence Manual. Now when you tell stories, it's using their language, it's bonding their criteria and values. All these things are nested in your story. See how much more powerful it gets, right? We're going to give you this course absolutely free, right? It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free, just for being part of our training today and taking action. Total combined value is $4,487 if you register now before the end of the webinar. But we're not done yet. We're going to give you some more really cool stuff. This is Renegade Reframing and the Art of Conversational Belief Change. Let me ask you a question. What if, by the way, have any of you ever been told no? Or been given a bullshit reason for somebody not doing something you know is in their best interest? I'm curious. What would it be like if for every objection or every limiting belief somebody presented to you, including yourself, you had at least 14 different ways to change that belief or overcome that objection in seconds? What if you could do it completely conversationally in normal conversations? What would your life be like? How many things could never-ending irrational bullshit? I don't know what that means, Jeffrey, but okay. All right? Yeah. But what if you could change it instantly? Right? Overcome any objection, change any belief. Right? That's what Renegade Reframing is. Now, Renegade Reframing is actually based on a set of patterns that NLP researcher Robert Dilt observed by watching the founder of NLP, Richard Bandler, train his students. Right? And what Richard would do, what if you could just destroy those excuses and make them just say, okay, I'll do it. Right? And by the way, you only need to use renegade reframing if you got level 1 wrong. Right? But let me give you the etiology of this so you can appreciate this. So what Richard would do is he would take his master practitioner's students and he would say, I have this belief. Everyone in this room is trying to kill me. Or something like that. And he would challenge his students to try and change that belief, to change that irrational thought. And what Richard would do is every time one of his students would attempt to meta-model him or challenge that belief, he would whip out one of these patterns and completely, pardon my French, mindfuck the students, right? And after a few trainings, Robert Dill started noticing that there were patterns that Richard was using to achieve this. There was an actual structure to what Richard was doing that would overcome the objections, create a pattern interrupt in the minds of the person, and create the opportunity for a much better belief, a much more useful belief. And he codified those patterns into 14 specific patterns that he termed sleight of mouth. Now, unfortunately, most people, when you go to learn sleight of mouth, it's really, really challenging and it's really, really difficult. We've completely redesigned the sleight of mouth system so that it's super easy to learn. It's fat. There's actually a card game that comes with, we call it the reframe game. You can turn it into a drinking game if you want, where somebody spits out a belief or a limiting belief, and you throw down a card. It has the pattern on it, and once you've been trained in the patterns, you use that pattern to reframe the belief, and you just round robin each other. And it just builds on that. So we gamify it and make it a really fun, useful way to develop a powerful skill set that you can take out into the world and remove people's limiting beliefs, overcome objections to anything you want somebody to do, including yourself. And we're giving it to you absolutely free, just for being part of our Ultra Persuasion program. Can I use Renegade Reframes on myself? 1,000%. In fact, that's the first person you should be using on. In my coaching program, which we're not talking about here, in my coaching program, one of the first things we do is we have people write down 5 limiting beliefs that they have and use the patterns on their own beliefs. And you just see all the sparks fly out of their brain as everything that they thought was true, they just start seeing it from a different perspective. And it's perfectly natural, it's perfectly organic, there's nothing dishonest about it. And you can use this as a way to protect yourself. Oh yes, absolutely, even remove procrastination. 100%. 100%. By the way, if anybody's on the call tonight that's been through my reframing class and you have experience with that, go ahead and answer Michael's questions and other people's too. Because again, you expect me to promote my stuff. You expect me to say our stuff is the coolest thing since sliced bread. Don't listen to me. Listen to the people in the chat who are actually using the materials, who're actually getting the real world results. Okay? Do we have to start at CP1? It's included in the course. I recommend you start there. It's not 100% necessary, but if you want the biggest bang for your buck, can you buy it for your daughter? 100%. Just reach out to Stephanie, and again, I'll talk to you guys about that in a minute. 100 ways to use this, and I use it all the time. I use it with my kids. I use it with my wife. I use it with anytime somebody calls me that is stuck with a limiting belief that they can't seem to get past. I whip these out. I use these so often, only my most advanced students can tell when I'm doing it because they have the training, right? And you'll be that good too, right? You just got to follow the instructions, right? And again, this is yours 100% free. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Total combined value so far is $6,484 if you register for this package before the end of the webinar. But we're not done yet, guys. I'm giving you the kitchen sink. If you register before the end of the webinar, we're also going to throw in, this is a really, really cool program. This is called Charisma and Conversion. So how many of you have ever been in a training like T. Harv Ekers or Robert Allen or Tony Robbins, and you see how they just have these people flooding to the back of the room? This is the entire system behind the system. This is how to create powerful, compelling presentations that have people hanging on your every word, have them salivating to take the next step with you, that helps them digest the information and take action on it. We're going to teach you 2 forms of group presentation. This is not a course that teaches you how to hypnotize people in stage hypnosis. This is the course that teaches you how to have unstoppable charisma and hypnotic abilities to install learnings and motivation in people from the stage. The fastest, most powerful way to build your business with minimum money is through public speaking. So for those of you who want to do things like what you see me doing right here on a webinar, or live and in person, who do group presentations to CEOs or venture capitalists, this is going to teach you the nuts and bolts of how to create powerful, compelling, fun and entertaining presentations, basic stagecraft, how to position your talk, position your topic, position your audience, create your offer, position your offer, and deploy them. So you'll come away from this class with the ability to whip out a talk at a moment's notice for a podcast and how to repurpose your content that you do from your live events. Most of you are here because you saw me teaching a live event on YouTube. That's part of this course. I will show you how I did that. I will show you how to do it. I will show you how to use meetup.com to fill your room and utilize that content to promote your business, promote you. Again, if you have to have CPI 1 to really do the rest of these courses, but it's included in your package, so it's not a problem. Total value is $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free because I want you to take this stuff out into the world. I want you to be successful. I want you, to quote Zig Ziglar, I want you to get everything in life that you want by showing other people how to get exactly what they want. It's total $8,481 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. So let's just review really quick. So, the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Home Study course includes the 17-video, 7-stage Universal Persuasion Protocol video training, plus modules on proxemics, social hypnotic operators, DRTs, attractivity, affinity, acquiescence. It's going to teach you about meta programs. It's going to teach you, I think I mentioned social hypnotic operators, all those things in that manual, $418 value. $2,497 value right there. We're also going to include absolutely free the Weapons of Mass Instruction Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets, $1,997 value. We're going to include the Renegade Reframing, how to instantly overcome overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds, $1,997 value. And finally, the Charisma and Conversion hypnotic presentation skills for speakers in public and presenters. So $1,997 value, right? Think about what you can do with this. Think about what just understanding the echo technique and the emotional bonding checklist allowed you to experience. Imagine what you can do with all of this, right? Total value, $8,481. Okay? Now the best part is, I want today for you to have the best deal humanly possible. I want you to be able to take this material, go out into the world, and get everything you want. Because I guarantee you, you will make 10, 12, 20 times. If you apply this, and you apply it well, you can make so much more than the minimal investment. But we're not going to make you pay $8,481. We're not even going to ask for $6,481. In fact, to get a little bit more internet marketing, we're not going to ask for $5,347. We're not going to ask you for $3,347. You can get everything we've talked about. We're not even going to charge you $2,347. You can get every single thing and all the power that goes with it for one low investment of just $997. $997. And if you need a little extra help, we have payment plans available if you need to, if you want to. You can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397, spaced out over 3 months, and you can get that material today, and you can start rocking the world, adding more zeros to your bottom line, having more dates, having better relationships, motivating your team, right? All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. And to quote Austin, you're not spending it, brother, you're investing it. Spending money is something that goes away and doesn't come back. An investment is something you put in and you get back way more than what you invested. This is an investment in you, my friend. And believe me, you're worth it and you deserve it. Okay? It's okay, Jeffrey. I get it. I get it. You know, I was very much in those situations back in the day too. If you have questions. Now, by the way, if you've been bebopping around Planet David for any length of time, and you see things in this package that you already have, if you go to our website or you talk to Stephanie at Stephanie at NLP Power, or you call her at 858-282-4663, and if there's any duplicates in the package, we can swap them out if the price points are of equal or lesser value. So if you want to, that way you can get a more customized, pertinent package for yourself. So once again, it's one installment of $9.97 or 3 easy payments of $3.97. You go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Hold on a second, I want to get to my YouTubers here. Oops. There we go. Hold on a second. I accidentally clicked on the link and wound up somewhere else. I don't want my YouTubers to miss out on this, so hold on a second. Let me post that link for them. But we're not done yet, guys. Stay with us. Remember, we got part 3 coming up. We're going to come back. We're going to continue to teach. We're going to continue to build on the foundations. John, all of the content is immediately downloadable, including the manuals. So literally, the moment your transaction's processed, let Stephanie know. She'll start giving you access to stuff. No, I didn't say it would be free. Thank you, Vanessa. Nice try, though. But I am going to give you a lot of free stuff that you can take out into the world and use. Okay? So again, just go to the link in your chat there is www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Nice try, though, Vanessa. Thanks. All right. Now, another thing. While we're on the subject, there's absolutely zero risk for this. All right? Here's what I want you to do. Grab your course. Try it. Do the drills, do the skills, apply them in the real world for a full 60 days. If after 60 days you're not making more money, closing more deals, getting more dates, having better relationships, becoming more secure and confident and personally powerful, winning social encounters and becoming more and more irresistible, if none of those things are true for you, I will refund every dime you invested. Because if this stuff doesn't work for you, I don't want your investment. I want you to find something that actually does work for you. But what you'll discover, and I truly believe this, what you'll discover when you start applying these techniques is I've actually understated what these things will do for you. Use it for a full 60 days. If you have any questions, if you have any problem with implementing the material in any way, pick up the phone, give us a call. We will help you do this stuff better. If after 60 days you're still not getting the results that you want, we'll refund you. Again, if you're not being successful, we don't want your investment. It's that simple. We want you to win. You don't do us any good not winning. We want your testimonials. We want your field reports. We want to use you as an example of what's possible. If you're ready, if you deserve it, grab your course now before they're all gone. Okay? www.killerinfluence.com/go. 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 Okay. Now, there's a certain group of you out there who I love. I call you the early adopters, the action takers, the proactive people of the world. And for those of you who are ready, those of you who are just chomping at the bit, I have some special gifts for you. If you've already clicked that link, you get all this stuff and more. If you grab your course today, before March 16th, 2022 at 11:59 p.m., I'm also going to include these amazing fast action bonuses. Now, these bonuses are only good until I log off the webinar tonight. So when I click off Zoom, these go away. The other bonuses, the Renegade Reframing, Storytelling, and Charisma and Conversion, they're good until 11:59 p.m. tonight. The following fast action bonuses, they go away when I do. So if you like even a little bit of what you've seen, you're going to love everything else. Okay? So you'll get these fast action bonuses. First and foremost, you're going to get a 3-month trial to our free VIP pass to our Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group. This is a 3-month trial membership and unlimited access to our 11-year video archive. This is a $1,597 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. Let me explain this a little bit so you understand exactly what you're getting. I created the Ultra Persuasion program for people to learn from home, for people to be able to actually, welcome aboard, James, I'm glad you're with us, to be able to study and learn and practice these skills on their own time. But if you've been around Planet David for any length of time, you know that if you come to me and you say, David, I know you have a live training coming up next month. I know, there's a video on the training. I'm torn which one I should do. Should I go to the live event, or should I get the video? Without a flicker of a doubt, without a hesitation, the first thing I'm going to say to you is get your ass to the live events. Because once you're in the live event, I can watch you. I can give you feedback. I can customize drills and installations to make sure you walk out of there embodying this material, able to do it anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances. Not only that, you are going to meet some of the coolest, most amazing, loving people on the planet, all with a vested interest in learning this material better and helping you get better by getting better themselves. All right. So to me, it's not even a choice. If you have to choose between a live event and a video, get your ass to the live event. But with COVID drove it home more than anything. Sometimes you can't get to the live event. Logistics, finances, whatever. And so I had to sit back and ask myself, how do I replicate as much of that experience as humanly possible? And that's when we created the Ultra Persuasion package that we're talking to you about right now. But there's another way that we can do it. And it's actually one of the very first ways. In 2010, I created an in-person mentoring program. It's a group process where people come in from all over San Diego, and I would literally go around the room and say, Seth, what do you want to learn? Ben, what do you want to learn? Leonard, what do you want to learn? Jeff, what do you want to learn? Joanne, what do you want to learn? Holly, what do you want to learn? Stephanie, what do you want to learn? And I take everything they want to know about, and I write it on my board, and I step back and I look at it. And I ask, and I figure out, where do all these things intersect? What series of techniques links all these things together so everybody can get what they came for? I create that lesson plan right on the spot. I've been doing it for 11 years, third Saturday of every month, like clockwork. And I drill you on those skills for 4, 5, 6 hours, depending on how much time we have. It's usually a 4 to 5 hour block, until you can do them in your sleep. You will not get a certificate from the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. What you will get is the difference that makes the difference. And that difference is the hands-on. You're going to get to roll up your sleeves, both virtually and in person, and do real drills in real time with real people and get real live feedback. You'll be surrounded by all kinds of cool people just like you who like to do cool stuff, all focused on the specific skill sets that you need to win in the world. At the end of that training, you go off into the world to apply your new Jedi skills. You come back next month, third Saturday, 11 a.m., and I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you want to learn today? What do you want to learn today? What do you want to learn today? I'm going to write them on the board, and we're going to drill you on the next level of skills that you want to focus on. Okay? That's the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. We have run it like clockwork every single Saturday, give or take, for 11 years. The best part, you get 3 months to come in and actually do the work. If you like it, stay. If you don't, hey, you met some cool people who like to do cool stuff and you had a chance to practice. But one of the other best parts is we've videotaped every single one of those training sessions since 2010. We've archived them on the NLP Power website, on our private Facebook group, and a good chunk of it is now on our YouTube channel in the private members only section. As a member of the NLP Power Mastermind, you get unlimited access for the full 90 days you're in the program to every single one of those videos. All 11 years. Stuff that's never been seen on YouTube, never been in a product, completely virgin, and it covers everything from energy healing to law of attraction to trauma resolution to marketing to sales to attraction, dating, seduction, energy healing, accelerated learning. If it involves mind, body, and spirit, and performance enhancement, it's in there, right? And you can binge watch it to your heart's content. There's over 300 videos in there between the different archives. You get to watch it all, right? total value, $1,597, right? We're going to give it to you free if you're one of the first 27 people to grab your course today, okay? But we're not done yet. Be one of the first 27. We're also going to, and total value, by the way, is $10,778 if you add everything up, okay? We're also going to throw in our Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. Now, Stealth, believe it or not, is actually an acronym. Yes, it sounds cool, but it actually stands for something. It stands for Strategic Suggestion Through Emotionally Amplified, Linguistically Transmitted Hypnosis. This is the conversational hypnosis course everybody wishes they had, because it allows you to learn the core language patterns, instant and rapid inductions, the 3 magic questions protocol that takes people from perfect stranger to being on the verge of deep level love in under 20 minutes. It's the course that allows you to watch it tonight, be hypnotizing people tomorrow. There's about 6 extra bonus videos in there called the Instant Influence mini course, where you see me teaching language patterns to a meetup group here in San Diego. There's also, I believe, a video in there called Anchors in Action, which is how to do NLP-style anchoring, how to collapse anchors, how to set anchors. I believe there's also a small segment on how to hijack other people's anchors so that you can just push their buttons anytime you want to. And I believe the last thing is there's another deep level training on hypnotic hot buttons, which is a form of criteria and value solicitation. It comes with manuals, it comes with transcripts, it comes with workbooks, designed for one thing and one thing only: for you to watch a couple of hours of video tonight, be hypnotizing people tomorrow, or in 3 hours if you don't want to wait until the next day. It's a total of $997 value. We're going to include this for you absolutely free. Total combined value thus far is $11,075. But we have one final gift for you. And to me, this alone, I think, is the single biggest no-brainer. But again, don't believe me, to judge for yourself. For the next 27 people who grab the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Home Study Package and all the other bonuses we've talked about, we are going to gift you a free VIP super ticket to our next Killer Influence Secrets of Covert Hypnosis live 4-day certification boot camp, April 27th through the 30th in Orlando, Florida. It's a $2,250 value. You can attend the entire training absolutely free. If for some reason you can't make that training, we will move you to the next Killer Influence training and you can use it then. The beautiful thing about our VIP tickets is that they don't expire. You have this ticket you have it until you use it. If it takes you 5 years to come to a Killer Influence event and use that ticket, it's still good. If something comes up at the last minute that you suddenly can't attend the training, there's another round of flight bans, or our president has an existential crisis and won't let anybody travel. All you do is pick up the phone, let Stephanie know, we'll move you to another training. If the training is full and you show up with one of these VIP tickets, we will find a seat for you. We will make a seat for you. Okay? If you want to gift this to somebody who you think needs it more than you do, we will honor that VIP ticket for that person. If you want to come to a training that's in another country and the price points are different, like when we go to Europe or we go to the UK, we do everything in pounds sterling and euros. The exchange rate is significantly different. Price points to the events no longer matter. As long as you have one of these super VIP tickets, you get to walk right to the front of the room, sit in the front row, no money down. Okay? No money down. This is for our Killer Influence Live 2022. It's a 4-day certification boot camp at the Rosen Plaza in Orlando, Florida. It's a beautiful hotel. And again, you'll learn how to control your emotional states at will, how to emanate charisma on command. Everything we've talked about in the manuals, in the very first part, the 17 videos, we're going to learn all of that and more. In fact, I also teach face reading and suggestibility accelerators and a whole bunch of stuff I didn't talk about in these live events because the courses are constantly evolving. If you want to take all of your skills and embody them to move through the world exerting influence anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, for any reason, this is the ultimate cherry on the sundae. This will take you from 0 to hero in 4 short days. You will not believe the transformations you'll be undergoing, and you'll be meeting and making friends with some of the coolest, lifelong friends you'll ever have, right? So yeah, that's what we got. Total value for everything that I've talked about is $13,325. All you got to do to grab it all for today for just $9.97 is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go, and you're going to get that Secrets of Human Influence home study course valued at $2,479. You're going to get Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. You're going to get Renegade Reframing, the Art of Objection Obliteration, $1,997 value, absolutely free. Charisma and Conversion, $1,997 value. You're going to get it free. You're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program trial membership and video archive, $1,597 value. You're going to get it free. And Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value, free. And finally, that Killer Influence VIP Super Ticket, 4-day certification boot camp live in Orlando, Florida, April 27th through the 30th at the Rosen Plaza Hotel, $2,250. You get it for free. Total value, $13,325, all for one low installment of $997 or 3 easy installments of just $397 each. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.go. I'm sorry, /go, www.killerinfluence.com/go, and we will help you get enrolled, right? For those of you who have questions, a couple of things. If you're going to call Stephanie, and by the way, people always have questions, you need to call 858-282-4663. Now, Stephanie is my administrative goddess. She is able to help you. Holly is helping. Seth is here answering questions. Brandon's in the background. When you call Stephanie and you get her voicemail, if you get her voicemail, you must leave your contact information. Do not expect Stephanie to just reach out to you willy-nilly unless you call her or reach out to her first. She only returns calls. She doesn't reach out proactively. If you want this, you got to pick up the phone or you got to send an email. You can go to go to Stephanie@nlppower.com, right? Or call 858-282-4663. Please leave your contact information. If you call and you get her voicemail and you leave your contact information, you will qualify for the bonuses that we're offering. If you do not leave your contact information and you call tomorrow, you will not qualify for the bonuses. Okay? I can't make it any more explicit. I'll say it a couple of times because people sometimes hear what they want to hear. I want you to have these packages, guys, but you got to follow the rules. All right? Call Stephanie. She'll answer any questions that you have. If you get her voicemail, leave your name, your telephone number, and email. She will contact you within the next 24 hours and get all of your questions answered if she can't do it right away. And she'll get your payment plan set up, and she'll go over if you need any substitutions or customizations to your package, she can help you with that. Okay? She can help you with that. Okay. So I'm gonna post these links one more time, and then we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give you a 7-minute break to go and do what you got to do. When we come back, we're gonna circle around again. We're gonna pick up where we left off on the ECHO technique, on the emotional bonding checklist, and then I'm gonna ask you what else you want to learn about, and we're gonna spend the rest of our time together drilling and skilling. Okay? So without further ado, it is 5:52 by my clock. We're going to take 8 minutes while you guys finalize your packages, do whatever it is you got to do. And we'll come back and we'll start teaching again. So, clock's running. Hey, everybody, just a potty break, folks. In fact, I just saw that. I just got it. So what we'll do is we got about 2 minutes left before the official break is over. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and post them in the chat, and I'll answer the questions, and then we'll start with the content as soon as the official break is up. If you guys were wondering, if you're joining us from the UK or whatever, yes, there will be a replay. In fact, if you go to YouTube immediately after this webinar is over, give it maybe 5 or 10 minutes to render. This video should be available. I usually go in and edit some of the stuff out, so if there's a little bit of a lag time before the video starts, just fast forward. That'll be gone in a couple of days. But yeah, what questions do you have about the content we've covered so far? What do you want to focus on? What do you want to learn more about? This is the perfect time to kind of customize the webinar to your applications. What do you want to drill down on? Talk to me. Oops. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. There we go. It looks pretty when it flashes by like that, don't it? Influence coworkers without direct authority. Oh, very good, very easy. Very easy to do. But the question is, what do you want them to do? See, a lot of times influencing them is easy once you understand how they work. The question becomes, what are you influencing them to do? Are you influencing them to try and do something that's going against their values or their morals? Or are you, something that, what if you want to reverse a feeling? Use their safety equipment. Okay, hold on a second, let me jump out. Okay. So let me take a look at some of the chats and see what we got. Okay, so Scott's asking about influencing coworkers without direct authority. To use their safety equipment. Okay. David, Lisa says, I got my course in January. Is there a manual with that, please? Yes, there is. Reach out to Stephanie. She'll make sure you get it. I'm surprised you didn't reach out to us sooner. Like a feeling of wanting to not wanting. Oh, that's easy to change. Okay. All right. So let's talk about that for a minute. So first of all, getting people to do things they don't want to do is actually quite easy. You know, in Killer Influence, we talk about the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic power. The first one is authority. Authority is someone is really the only one of the 4 that doesn't rely or doesn't need rapport to manifest. Right? Now, if you want to influence somebody without having the authority, you can adopt the physiologies of authority. And what does that look like? In Killer Influence and in CPI, which is one of the first things that we're going to teach you is what we call state control. And state control has 2 components to it. First of all, let's define what state control actually is. State control in our world is the ability to enter or exit any psycho-emotional state at will in any order or sequence, no matter what. And so we divide state control into 2 primary categories of state work. You have what we call physiologically driven state control, and you have cognitively driven state control. Now, I'm going to give you one of the most important principles of human influence that I've ever come across. It seems ridiculously simple, and yet it's everything. And it flies in the face of what pretty much all of NLP is teaching us. But functionally, this is how it works. And I want you to write this down. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Okay? You're a human being, you're feeling driven too. Now, a lot of people like to pride themselves on their rationalness or their logicalness. You're not. They're just lead-ins to whatever causes your body to generate the feelings that you actually do act on. Now, when it comes to applied state control, the fastest way to get somebody to change a decision, to change a perspective, is to change their body feelings. Right? The way you can say it is all learning and all decisions are state dependent. You all know this, by the way. How many of you have ever been little children? If you've been a little child at one time in your life, type it in the chat. Me. Right? And you all know this. How do I know? Because I have children and I was one too. But you all know that when there was something you wanted from your parents, the first thing that you did was try to figure out who was in a better mood. True or not true? If there was something that you know was really important, the first thing you did was look for who was in the better mood. Why? Why did you look for who was in the better mood? Because even as a child, you instinctively understood that if somebody's in a better mood when you ask them for something, they're far more likely to say yes. Right? But it's deeper than that. You see, your body feelings control a part of your brain known as your reticular activating system. That reticular activating system controls your attention, and specifically it controls what you pay attention to. So, if I put somebody in a good mood, I give them good body feelings, their reticular activating system shifts my focus to everything in my environment that's positive. If I shift them into a negative body feeling, the reticular activating system shifts what I pay attention to everything that's negative. I give those things priority. Okay? That's the basics of it, but it goes way deeper. And here's how it works. Fastest way to change a person's decision is to change their body feelings. You guys with me on this? Type in the chat if you're with me. This is important. This is a little bit more theory than I normally give in a webinar, but I want you to get this. Now, the fastest way to change another person's body feelings is to change yours first. Let me repeat that. Fastest way to change a person's state or decisions is by changing their body feelings. The fastest way to change a person's body feelings is to change yours first. You see, you can influence other people's states, but you can completely control your own. And that's why if you look at our CPI diagram, right, you have state control, you have rapport, you have language, you have state management, right? Why? Because you can control your state, but you can only manage the states of other people. You can't ever completely control how somebody is going to respond or interpret the information that you're sending them. But you can strongly influence how they are most likely to do that. And if you're echoing them effectively, you are sending massive amounts of sameness messages to every level of their mind and body that results in powerful feelings in their body that are positive, and they're directed at you. So this person will automatically link positive feelings to the target of the person giving the language back to them. Does that make sense? Okay. So just what you've learned at the beginning of this webinar is already putting you in the position of being everybody's favorite person. And because you're the person that when they look at you, they talk to you, they interact with you, they feel so good, they tend to give you what you want. But then you make it even deeper, right? So Scott had a question about how do I get people to do things they don't want to do, even if I don't have the authority to do it? Criteria and values, right? Now there's lots of different ways to tap into a person's emotional bonding checklist. Tina's saying, I would think though if either party had childhood trauma that would complicate matters. Depends on the context, Tina. It really depends on the context. Carla, we're gonna talk more about that. Now remember, in NLP they call it criteria and values. In our world, I tend to try and leave all that jargon behind. So we call it the emotional bonding or emotional motivation checklist, right? Does that make sense? Are you guys with me on that? All right. So first and foremost, let's get really, really, really good at echo technique. Would that be useful, you think? If I could show you a simple, easy way to get really good at the echo technique and be effective out in the real world, would that be a good start? Okay. I'm gonna start you with the echo technique. We're gonna drill down on a little bit more on the emotional bonding parts, and then I'm gonna do is, if it's okay, I'm gonna finish with the resistance removal formula. And this is once again a way to motivate people to want to do things they just said they don't want to do. All right. Now, there's lots of reasons why people say no to us. There's lots of reasons why people act out. And again, in the space of a 3-hour webinar, we can't unpack all of those. But I can tell you that no matter what the situation is, we use these tools. They're the exact same tools. You just may apply them slightly differently. Just like sometimes with a knife, you may carve out a delicate silhouette. Sometimes you just cut slices. Sometimes you stab things. It's the same knife, right? It's how you use it that makes the difference. So let's look first and foremost at the echo technique. And why do we always go back to this echo technique? Because the echo technique is the feeder into everything else. So from the echo technique, I can go into 3 magic questions. From the echo technique, I can go into emotional bonding checklist. From the echo technique, I can go into the resistance removal protocol. And the echo technique is utilized in all of these consistently throughout. It's like the thread that ties everything together. And when you don't know what to say in a conversation, you go back to echoing them. Okay? But there's an algorithm that I've taught my students that I've developed over time that I have found to be ridiculously useful in every context where I need to be effective at echoing and minimize the risk of getting caught. Now remember, where you come from with the echo technique is actually way more important than the skill with echoing that you have. If you come from a sincere desire to understand that person better and to send messages to them that you're trying to understand them better, then you can't get caught in a negative way. And even if you do, it's not bad unless you stop doing it. Because if you stop doing it after they've caught you, it's like admitting you were doing something nefarious, like you were doing something sneaky or underhanded. The best thing you can do when you get caught is acknowledge it, tell them why you're doing what you're doing, and then just keep doing it. Because after about 2 minutes, they'll forget you're echoing them and feel good about you again anyway. Don't believe me. Go do it. Try to get caught first and foremost. Notice how hard it is, right? And when you do get caught, say, hey, I'm doing this because I learned it's the best way for people to really understand one another and to signal that they understand each other. And I just want to understand you better. Would that be okay? Now, if they say no, you got other stuff going on, right? And it's their issue, not yours. But let's look at the master echo sequence. So when you're going to deploy the echo technique, I want you to use this format whenever possible. This is called the master echo sequence. Okay? You might want to take a screenshot of this. So when we look at this master echo technique, what do we see? We see ask a question. Pay attention to the response. Pay attention to the response that they give you. Validate their response. Echo their words. Ask another question. Let me repeat that 3 more times just so you have it. When you're deploying the echo technique out in the world, you ask your question. You pay attention to their responses. You validate their response. You echo their words. You ask again. 1 more time with feeling. Ask your question. Pay attention. Validate their response. Echo their words. Ask another question. If you just do that, what I want you to do, one of the first things I want you to do is go back and look at my demo when I'm demonstrating the Bernice demo, remember? Notice how many times I asked the question, I paid attention to the response, and then I validated what they said in some way, right? So it might be as simple as someone, like let's say I'm talking to somebody about something polarizing, right? Like Russia versus Ukraine, right? That's the polarizing topic of the day, right? Right? And one person might say, I think that NATO just needs to go in there and make Russia a parking lot for what they did to Ukraine. And then this other person, again, this is again polarizing. We wouldn't normally do. I'm using a worst case scenario just to show you what you can do with this. You might say, you know what? I'm curious. What is it about what's going on with Russia and Ukraine that makes you think that we should turn Russia into a parking lot for what it's doing to Ukraine? And then a person might say something to the effect of, well, I just think any form of aggression is wrong and needs to be met with an equal amount of force and a definitive action. Oh, I see. So you think any form of, just so I understand you better, so you think that any form of aggression should be met with a decisive show of force. And I think, you know what? I 100% agree that something should be done and there should be a decisive show of force. So just so I understand you better, what kind of decisive show of force do you think would be appropriate other than maybe turning the entire country into a parking lot? What did I do? Can anybody kind of analyze what I did? Did I ask a question? Yes? Did I ask a question? Yes. Did I pay attention to the response? Did I validate their answer? Yes, I did. And validation is the key. One of the things that happens when a person gets their very own words back, it neurologically affirms their perspective and point of view. When you signal agreement in some way, like for example, I didn't necessarily agree that Russia needed to be made a parking lot, but I did agree that that decisive action needed to be taken, right? I completely agree that that kind of decisive action needs to be taken other than turning Russia. And besides other than turning Russia into a parking lot, or the whole country into a parking lot, what else might be a useful process? So I asked the question, I paid attention to the response, I validated them. And this is a big deal. Human beings are validation-seeking creatures. Yes, you can absolutely validate without agreeing. In fact, that's one of in NLP that's called a agreement frame. Right? What did I do? I asked the question. I listened. I validated their response. I signaled to them that I wasn't judging or making what they said wrong. I signaled that I heard them, that I agreed with them on some level. And then I asked another question. And that question redirected that person to something other than turning the entire country into a parking lot. Ask your question, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, validate the response, echo, ask again. Right? And now this person from that one interaction will start to generate other ways that the Ukraine situation could be handled other than turning the entire country to glass. Right? Well, again, I deliberately picked a very polarizing topic. Everybody has an opinion, right? One way or another about this. This is not something that is small for any of us. But my point is that I wanted you to see and hear what the echo technique sounds like when it's deployed. Kenneth Kern says, could validation be I hear? Yeah, it could be. You got to be careful with that sometimes, though. You got to be careful. And the average person probably won't, pick up the subtlety of it. But somebody who's trained in NLP, when you change your predicates, when you go from like seeing what you're saying to hearing what you're talking about, or I hear what you're saying, right? It can, if you're trained, it can send up a little flag. So one of the ways that I find is actually a better way to get agreement and say you agree is what we call the chunk up, chunk down principle. And so what does that mean? It means that when I hear something that's problematic, right, I either go more global. So a person says, I think that Russia should be turned into a parking lot, right? Well, that's very specific and it's very obvious, right? But if I just chunk up, I remove the content, and rather than say turning Russia into a parking lot, I might say, you know what, I absolutely agree that something needs to be done about the Russian situation, right? The fact that they heard me say I agree creates alliance in the person's mind. People are always looking for alliance. That you chunked up, they don't quite consciously catch that, but you can congruently agree with something at a global level, or you can chunk down. You can get more specific. You find something in what they said that is more granular and agree with that. For example, I think Russia should be turned into a parking lot for all the things that it's doing to the Ukraine. You might say, well, I absolutely agree that certain military actions need to be taken on key points that are causing the greatest amount of harm to the Ukrainian people. You see? Can you hear what I'm doing here? So one is where I'm going more global. The other is where I'm finding something small and granular in the statement that I can ethically, congruently agree with. Right? I'm just, I experience tonality very kinesthetically. So for some reason, my languaging is very much guided by my inner sensitivities. And so when I hear people say, so what I hear you saying is, or I see what you're, that sends off a signal to me. And again, I'm highly trained, so this could be just something that is specific to me. But if it's specific to me and I can make it easier for you, so much the better. So again, the idea is human beings are always looking for alignment. They're always looking for alliance. And so the sequence you want to follow is always going to be, you ask your question, you pay attention to their response, you validate their response, you echo, you ask again. Now, I used a very problematic conversation as an example. Please believe me when I say that 99% of your conversations won't be like that. They will be much more cordial, they'll be much more fun, they'll be much more exciting, and less charged with negative emotion, if that makes any sense. So one of the best places to use this is in what we call 3 Magic Questions protocol, which we don't have time to cover on today's webinar, but I wanted to give you guys the master echo sequence, right? So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like to give you a chance to practice this a little bit. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask one of you to just type a question in the chat. I'm going to answer that question. When I answer that question, I want you each to type into the chat a response using the master echo formula. So in other words, somebody's going to ask me a question, I'll pick the question, I'll answer the question. You're going to listen to my response, you're going to pay attention, you're going to echo back what I said, and you're going to ask another question. Does that make sense? I'm going to drill you on it really quick, just so you kind of get it locked in. Can we do that? Okay, cool. So, let's have Jeffrey type a question in the chat for me. And make it something you would encounter on a day-to-day basis. Jeffrey Turnbull, go ahead, since my turn to pick on you. Wait a minute, he didn't tell me he was going to test us on this shit. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to get some free stuff and go out into the world. I didn't know he was going to make me actually do it. Welcome to my world, babies. When you come to killer influence, okay, what do I think about DJ Trump? Well, you know, I think Trump had some good ideas, but I also think the way he went about implementing some of those ideas was just mind-numbingly bad. You know, and I think that ultimately, you know, we need to learn to separate what's right and what's wrong for ourselves rather than having other people decide it for us. So he could benefit from my courses. Yes, he probably could. Now, again, at the risk of pissing, again, you know what? I'm going to shut up. We got to do that exercise. So pay attention to what I said. I said, I think Trump had a lot of good ideas, but the way he went about installing them and facilitating them was just bonehead stupid. Yeah, Jamie, I think Trump had some good ideas, but he implemented them badly. Yeah. But you forgot something. What's the full sequence? Ask your question, pay attention, validate, echo, ask again. Try it again with the full sequence. I'm going to I'm going to look at other people's statements. Good, but thank you for being first. Right? Again, it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes when somebody's going to actually parse your language and teach you. Having trouble with the validate. Okay. Find something that you can agree with, even that you heard me. All the people who voted for Democrat. Okay, excellent. That was a good one. Okay. So Jamie says, so certainly Trump and good idea had good. I think he meant to say had good ideas. And what were some of them? Okay, good. Certainly Trump had some good ideas. What were some of them? Perfect. That's actually good, right? Yeah. So that's better, Jamie. Good. So you're getting the idea. So the idea is, once again, name one. Taxes. Anyway. So you think that some of the decisions Trump made were good. You stated that you went about them wrong. Yes. Okay. You could, again, for those of you having trouble with the validation part, you got to get your emotion out of it. Okay? Because again, your goal here is to be strategic. So you could say, you know what, I absolutely agree that many people believe a lot of Trump's ideas were valid and good ideas. And it was quite obvious that his implementation was off in a lot of different ways. Right? So, Julie, I would be careful with let me be clear, so you think Trump had some good ideas. Because the way I'm reading that is very accusational and very partisan. Remember, the job here is to create alignment with the person. Okay? You want the person to believe and feel that you are an ally, that you are an enemy. Right? If you start vilifying people in your mind, you're going to 100% kneecap your ability to influence, with the exception of alienating people. Okay? In every conversation, there will always be something you can find that you have in common. Whether it's something very, very small or something very global, your job is to find it. Because if you're doing this, you can't get them to do that. Okay? This is where we, as students of influence, must understand that we need to exert state control over things. Right? We can't let our states control us. Because that's how Trump took the election. He turned the entire election into reality TV. The first one. Okay? I'm not political, by the way, in case you were wondering. I'm a student of influence. I look at influence tactics. Right? So you want to know what I think about Trump? I think Trump has been tasked with some huge decisions. Okay, so again, you guys are giving me great examples, but you're not doing what I asked you to do. Okay? Remember, you ask your question. Right. Alvaro says, naturally, I'm curious as to how you know if you may possibly think that Trump had some good ideas. Okay, this is closer. I agree Trump had some good ideas and probably went about them the wrong way. What are some of them? Okay, that's good. That was good. That was good. Now, you don't have to say you agree that Trump had some good ideas. If you remember my example earlier, I said, I absolutely agree that many people feel that Trump had some good ideas. Did you hear what I said? I absolutely agree that many people feel that Trump has some good ideas. I never said I did. Get it? Right? Validation doesn't necessarily mean you agree. It means you accept what they said is true for them. Right? If you happen to agree, it's even better. Right? But the act of validating the response without vilifying it, guys, gals, this is the deal. You can't vilify people and expect them to be in your camp. It doesn't work that way. All right? So the validation piece is one of the most critical. Now, when people get their own words back to them, they're going to feel validated anyway. But they're also like, does this person really mean what they're saying? Right? They're all of a sudden their heart starts to open. They start to reveal the tender insides a little bit more. They become more vulnerable. What are you going to do with that vulnerability? Are you going to stick a knife in it? Or are you going to massage it so that it opens more? So that this person reveals who they are, feels good about revealing themselves to you, and creates a bond with you that you can use effectively and ethically. Does that make sense? Right? Remember, words are powerful. But if by your intonation, your emotional state, you taint your words, you're going to poison the interaction. So what? Okay, people are, again, we probably need to focus on different things, right? But again, people want to play politics, I'll play politics all day long, right? But are you understanding what I'm getting at, right? So Carla says, so that I understand you better, you agree that Trump had some good ideas, but that he went about, yes, 100%. That was perfect, Carla. Now, what would be the next question you might ask? Right? Let me just read Carla's answer again. Because if you think about it, the best answer isn't actually rocket science, right? I'm going to read Carla's answer because it's just a very textbook example of what you go for, right? So that I understand you better. So you agree that Trump had some good ideas, but that he went about them badly. I agree that he could benefit from some of your courses. What courses would you recommend? Or could I benefit from? Right? This was, again, I didn't see the second part. I didn't realize she was plunking my course, but yeah. So again, why is this important? Because you want to signal to the person that you heard them, that you understand them, right? And the moment they do that, they become more open to your influence. You want to learn to influence people from inside, not out. Does that make sense? Go ahead and answer, okay. All right, so let's talk about the next piece of the puzzle, right? Which is, what do you do when people say they don't want to do something? How do you get people to want to do what they just said they don't want to do? Robin says, I've been missing out on the validation part. Thanks. Long stare. Okay, so there's a formula that I'm going to teach you. It's called the Resistance Removal Protocol. And the most important piece of the training is called Restore Personal Autonomy. So let me see if I can find my notes here on this. Before we get into that, let's just remind people really quick. We have an offer that expires when I log off tonight. It's the Secrets of Human Influence home study course. It's, again, the Secrets of Human Influence package, $2,479. You're also going to get absolutely free the Weapons of Mass Instruction, Storytelling and Metaphor Training, $1,997. You're going to get that absolutely free. You're going to get the Objection Obliteration, Renegade Reframing, the Art of Conversational Belief Change, $1,997 value. absolutely free. You're going to get the Charisma and Conversion Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Presenters and Public Speakers, $1,997 value. You're going to get that absolutely free. You're going to get the free NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring 90-day trial with the 11-year video archive access for that full 90 days, a $1,597 value. We're going to give that to you free. We're also going to give you the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course valued at $997. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. And then finally, for those of you who are the first 27 to register before I log off the webinar, we're going to give you that special VIP super ticket, gets you free pass to our 4-day Killer Influence certification, 4 days covert hypnosis certification boot camp live in Orlando, Florida, April 27th to the 30th, valued at $2,250. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. Total value of this package is $997. Or you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you need to do to claim yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. The fast action bonuses go away when I log off. The rest of the program is available until 11:59 p.m. tonight. So all you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. And you can claim your package, and you can get deep dive into all these amazing secrets of human influence. And believe me when I say, or don't believe me as the case may be, get the course, put the stuff into operation, and prove it to yourself. Everything comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. If it doesn't deliver as much or more than I'm saying, let us know. We'll give you a refund. It's that simple. All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. When would now be a good time to go to www.killerinfluence.com/go? All right, let's talk about the resistance removal protocol. So, first rule, restore personal autonomy. What does that mean? That means if there's something somebody says they don't want to do, the first thing you have to do is convince them that it's okay with you if they don't do it. You follow me? The first rule when it comes to transforming resistance is you have to give people back their sense that it's okay to say no. Right? So the classic example that I use, because I deal with a lot of therapists, a lot of coaches, a lot of personal trainers, people who are in some kind of behavioral modification field. Right? And so one of the hardest people to deal with, or kinds of customers to deal with, are smoke cessation customers, people who love smoking. Because the vast majority of people who smoke actually like smoking. They don't want to quit, but everyone around them wants them to quit. And so they wind up browbeating and ball busting and getting these people feeling bad about themselves to the point where, all right, fine, I'll go have somebody make me quit, which is the first red flag. Anytime somebody walks into your office and the first words out of their mouth is, I need you to make me X, warning. Okay? They've shifted locus of control outside of themselves, right? They're acting as if something is about to be put on them instead of something they want. It's a big deal, right? Stephanie's pretty busy right now. If you haven't received your information yet, first of all, check your spam, because a lot of times it goes to spam. Otherwise, call her directly and leave a message, and she'll get back to you within 24 hours. So the first thing that's got to happen is you have to be sensitized as to whether somebody's coming to you because of a problem that they have or a problem that somebody else has. Right? So if someone comes in for smoking, and they'll say, hey, I need you to make me quit smoking. And I say, oh, really? So you need me to make you quit smoking? Yeah, my wife has been on my case forever, and my kids are now on the bandwagon, and they're all just complaining about how my clothes stink and how I smell like an ashtray, and my wife says I'm spending too much money on cigarettes. So, I'm tired of listening to them a little bit, and I just decided that, I need to stop smoking. So I need you to make me quit smoking. Okay? What would you do in that situation? By the way, did you catch the echo sequence? Okay. The moment you echo somebody like that, the floodgates are going to open. And the first thing I'm going to say is that, look, man, or if it's a woman, I'll say, look, ma'am, let me be upfront with you really quick. When you walk through that door, it's about me and you. what do I mean by that? I get that your wife wants you to quit smoking. I get that your kids want you to quit smoking. Everybody in your life wants you to quit smoking, but you, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I don't really want to quit, but I think it's just best for everybody that I do. You know what? I'm sure you do think it's best for everybody that you quit. But I want to give you some unsolicited advice and let you understand where I come from. When you walk in that door, it's all about how I can help you. I think smoking is something that is a personal choice. I think it's something that everybody has a right to do or not do without influence or impact or pressure from other people. So I get that your wife has a noble idea, your kids want what's best for you, but here's the truth. When you walk in that door, if you don't want to quit smoking, I don't want you to quit smoking. Right? If you want to come in here and go through the motions and just pretend that it didn't work, I won't even charge you to sit here. Right? If you want to help, if you want me to help you like smoking more, I'll help you do that because I'm here for you. If you don't want to quit smoking, you don't have to quit smoking. All right? If you want to come in and enjoy smoking more, I'll help you do that. But I'm curious about something, just so I understand you better. If you were to want to quit smoking, not for your wife's reasons, not for your kids' reasons, not for your mom's reasons, or society's reasons, if you were to want to quit smoking for you, I'm curious about something. Why might you want to do that? Why might you want to quit smoking? Well, I guess I have been getting kind of short of breath lately, and I kind of think it might be impacting my health. I think it might be better for my health if I just give up smoking and find something else. Oh, so you're having some trouble breathing, and you think it might be impacting your health. Yeah, I'm having trouble climbing the stairs. I didn't want to say anything because, I don't want anybody to worry, and it'd just be more fuel on the fire about the smoking thing. I totally get it. You didn't want to add any fuel to the fire, and you didn't want any more pressure from outside and things of that nature. So I'm curious. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to breathe better? What? How much might you want to breathe better on a scale of 0 to 10? Well, 10, man. Oh, really? Wow. That's a lot. Why do you want this so much? Why didn't you rate it less? What? They do that, by the way. On a scale of 0 to 10, why do you 10? Not 10. Why do you want this so much? Why didn't you rate it less? Well, because I have to breathe to live, and if I can't breathe, then I can't play with my kids, and I can't go out, and I can't do things. Oh, so you want to go out and do things? Yeah, I want to go out and do things. I want to have fun. I want to be able to breathe. Excellent. So I'm curious, what's the next step you and me need to take so you can get breathing better? Well, I guess I need to get off the cigarettes. Oh, okay. How soon do you want to get started? Well, let's do it right now. Great. Let's go out and talk to Stephanie. We'll get you signed up for your first appointment. Get it? What's the process? Restore personal autonomy. Got to come first. You got to convince these people, whoever they are, that what they want is okay. You're not going to judge them. You're going to give them complete freedom to not do those things. Then you turn it around and you say, look, man, or woman, just so I understand you better. Obviously you don't want to do this, right? Because of this and that and the other thing. But I'm curious. If you were to want to do this for your reasons, the real reasons, the right reasons, what would your reasons be for wanting to do this? Well, it might be X and Y and Z, and then maybe a little bit of 1, 2, and 3. Oh. So it might be X and Y and Z and a little bit of 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I'm curious. I'm wondering, just so I understand you better, Scale of 0 to 10. How much you want to do X and Y and Z and 1, 2, 3? Yeah, 5 or 6. Okay. Why so much? Why didn't you rate that less? What? I said, why do you want this so much? Why didn't you rate it less? Well, because it just makes sense to do it this way. Okay. So how soon do you want to get started doing it this way? Well, right now. Right? You guys want to play? You guys want to experience this? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to think of something. Totally get it, 10. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of something. And again, let's do something simple just to start so you get the mechanics of it. And you've seen what it looks like when I deliver it. Now I want you to pay attention to what happens to your motivation when you go through it. So I want you to think of something that you don't want to do. On a scale of 0 to 10, maybe it's a 2, 3, or 4. Nothing major, right? And I want you to understand something, that if you don't want to do those things, man, I support you. I believe you have a right to choose not to do those things. Because nobody has a right to push you into anything. And I'm going to support your ability, your willingness to stand up to your own freedom in the light of your own truth. I really believe that. And I'm curious, so that I can understand you a little bit better. All that stuff aside, if you were to want to do that thing that we talked about, that you're thinking about, but do it for your reasons, not your mom's reasons or your boss's reasons or your kid's reasons, not because David says so, for your reasons. Why might you want to do it for you? Why might you want to do that? Right? Let's just say that out loud as if I'm in the room with you. And I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? First impression. Oh, okay. And you can type your numbers in the chat if you want. It's okay. Just for fun. Good. So I'm curious about something. Why did you rate that so high? Why didn't you rate it less? Type your reasons in the chat. Yeah, why so high? Why do you want that so much? And then speak your reasons out loud. Notice what happens inside your mind. So I'm curious. What's the next step we need to take to do that? Because it's a top priority. Right on, Shanna. Right? Now, when you defended yourself, when you said, why did I want this so much? And you gave me a reason, for those of you that did it. When you did that, what happened to your desire to do it? Type in the chat. It went up. Exactly. This triggers reactance in the direction of the solution, right? That's the resistance removal protocol, right? And this, by the way, the magic of the nervous system is so pervasive. I've used almost this exact same technique to talk people out of being in pain. The way your nervous system works, at the level that this process is happening, there's no distinction between a physical pain and resistance and emotional pain and resistance. You can go to YouTube and type in instant conversational pain relief, and you can watch me do almost this exact same protocol on a lady with back pain, and you'll watch as her back pain disappears one number at a time. It's crazy. I was teaching a class one time. I had 3 people in the room with tinnitus, which is something I've had some of the most trouble helping people with. I talked 3 of them out of their tinnitus using this process. Right? Now, the thing that again, it's not confusion per se, but when I ask why so much, why didn't you rate it less? You see, they're expecting me to say, I didn't ask them why they didn't rate it more. Because they're used to everybody attacking them for their thoughts and their ideas and their beliefs. So the moment you say, why so much? Why didn't you rate that less? Why do you want this so bad? They're not expecting that. But the moment you flip the script on them, they have to generate reasons for why they want it so much. The act of defending their rationale causes the desire to do it to grow stronger. This is why you never use rhetorical arguments if you want to win somebody's heart. Because you may beat them over the head with the facts, but you won't win their compliance. You won't win their values. So here's the takeaway. I gave you the protocol, and now I want to give you the lesson I want you to learn. When it comes to the human mind, the rationalization that gets challenged only grows stronger. When you force people to defend their beliefs and their statements, they automatically become defensive. The moment they become defensive, that idea or notion that they had grows stronger and stronger and stronger. That's why head-on collisions will never work. You've got to have them generate a reason that they might want to do something and then attack that reason, and then they resist you in the direction of compliance. Do you understand what I'm saying? This means yes, this means no. Type yes in the chat. Okay? So, for Scott's question, if you've got someone who's not wearing the safety equipment, the first thing you gotta say is, man, look, I get you don't want to wear the safety equipment. Man, I don't want to wear it either. But the rules are the rules, and I get that. Sometimes we think the rules are bullshit. And you know what? If you don't agree with the rules, then you know what? I think it's important that you do what you think is right for you. I support you, man. If you want to take the risks, and you know what, that's cool. I'm curious though, man. Like, if you were to actually want to wear that equipment, for your reasons, not just because the rules say, but because you think it's a good idea. Why might you think it's a good idea? Why might you want to do that? Because it's probably just I got kids at home. I don't want anything bad to happen to me, so bad happens to my kids. Oh, so like on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you not want something bad to happen to your kids? Well, like 10. Oh, wow, that's a lot, man. Why so much? Why didn't you rate less? Well, duh, man. If something happens to me, if something happens to my kids, man, what's going to happen? Oh, all right. So So what do you think is the best thing to do? What's the next step we need to take to make sure that nothing bad happens to you or your kids? Oh, I guess I could wear the fucking equipment. Scott, what do you think? Is that a real life enough example for you? Pretty good. Okay. Again, I'm working with minimal information, but does everybody see how this works? It always starts with restoring personal autonomy, asking them to generate their own reason why they might want to do something, attacking that, having them rate that reason on a scale of 0 to 10, attacking it, asking them why they didn't rate it more, or why they didn't rate it less, depending on which direction you want them to go. Right? And then finally, what's the next step we need to take? Right? That's the resistance removal protocol. So it's coming up on 7-ish. It's almost like you're becoming your owner. In many ways you are. Right? Remember, and I have this little pithy statement that sometimes people get, sometimes I don't. The best reason people have, the best reason anyone has for doing the things they just said they want to do are the reasons that just came out of their mouth. Does that make sense? So again, and then you can actually take the emotional bonding checklist, you can blend it with the resistance removal protocol, and then you have an advanced technique we call the criteria lock, where you actually, and so I'm curious, just so I understand you better, if you were to want to do this for your own reasons, why might you want to do it? And they might say XYZ. Oh, XYZ. Awesome. So I'm curious, what's important to you about XYZ? And now you're tapping into the emotional bonding checklist on top of the resistance removal protocol, and now you got a double whammy where you're tapping them into their emotional triggers, and it just locks them in, right? Again, we'll cover that in Killer Influence and in some of the advanced trainings. But again, all these things, I'm teaching them to you individually, but you combine them and you get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. And they're like Legos. You can put them together to create anything you want. I love the questions. How's that work for you? Okay. Well, remember, so has that worked for you? It can be, again, if you haven't restored personal autonomy, if the person believes in any way, shape, or form that you have an agenda other than supporting them, they will push back. They will get reacted on you. They will be suspicious of you. So your first job has to be rapport and validation and support. You have to convince that person that it's okay for them to say no and you support their freedom to do so. Until you've done that, they will view everything that comes out of your mouth through the lens of suspicion and manipulation. Okay? You know, when thank you, I now understand this a lot more, E says. Excellent. Did you guys have fun? Did you learn a lot? Cool. I'm curious if you would help me out. In the chats, type in your top 2 or 3 takeaways from today's training. Just go ahead and type it in. Whatever comes up. Well, something like safety equipment, you can't really tell them it's okay not to do it. No, but you can pace it and then follow up. So you can say, like, look, you and I both know the rules say it's not okay to go without safety equipment. And you and I both know that some of these rules are right and some of these rules are bullshit. You know, so it's important that if we're going to do something, we should do it for the reasons we support, right? So, I know why I would wear the equipment. It has nothing to do with what the rules say. I'm curious, just so I understand you better, if you wanted to wear this shit for your reasons, why might you want to do it? What's important about that? Boom. And now you're off and running. When in doubt, echo it out. Right? Very good. One of the biggest, I'm gonna be upfront with you. You can persuade people to do a lot of stuff really fast when you understand this. The problem is, one of the things that will screw you up over and over and over again is a lack of patience. Patience is power. Because people have to process what you say. They have to process it, they have to think about it, they have to let it ferment in their minds a little bit before it comes up as their own idea. Now, many people started to learn NLP and related disciplines because they thought it was a faster way to get shit done. And it is if you do it right. Most people don't do it right. Right? The problem with NLP is that it's powerful. In many cases, it's too powerful. You may deliver an NLP, and again, this is not an NLP class, right? But there's a lot of things I learned from NLP that I want to share with you. The problem with NLP is people don't soften what they do. They deliver very powerful techniques, but they deliver them in such a way that even though the person doesn't know what you did, the technique is so powerful that it gives them a visceral response that they push back against. They don't know what you did, but they know you did something. And that makes them suspicious, it makes them reactant, and it makes them analyze everything you say through a microscope. You've got to dissolve that. You've got to neutralize and soften, right? You've got to generate validation and rapport, a desire to be liked from that person. And when you can do that, people will just hand you what you want. And they'll feel good about it because they're getting what they want out of it too, right? So if you want to take this further, if you want to level up your skills, right? I'm about to level off tonight's training, so I'm going to just give you one last reminder for those of you who are on the fence. This is the last call. We're offering the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Home Study Course. It's a $2,479 value. It's going to include the Art and Science of Neurological Narrative. They call that Weapons of Mass Instruction. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to include Renegade Reframing and the Art of Objection Obliteration and Conversational Belief Change. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. We're going to throw in Charisma and Conversion, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for presenters and public speakers. $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. We're going to give you a 3-month trial to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. Get all the hands-on training you can handle on the third Saturday of every month, plus the 11-year archive, full access for that entire 90 days. $1,597 value. We're going to give it to you free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value, absolutely free. And finally, the Killer Influence VIP Super Ticket gets you the free admission to our 4-day Killer Influence Covert Hypnosis Certification Bootcamp live in beautiful Orlando, Florida. It's a $2,250 value. We're going to give it to you free. Total package value is $13,325. You can get it all for one low installment of just $997, or you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. And Stephanie will help you. If you need help with her, call 858-282-4663. Or you can email Stephanie at nlppower.com. Please be sure to leave your contact information. Right? That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Stephanie at nlppower.com. 858-282-4663. All right. That's about all I got time for today, my friends. I'm curious, just so I understand you better, do you have any other questions I can answer before I make like the Immortal Cal Burnett? If I order the package and need an extra ticket for my wife, how much would it be? Jonathan, reach out to Stephanie on the phone and she'll work out a deal for you. Okay? Tina Lee Johnson says, thank you, Dr. Snyder. You're very welcome. I hope this was useful. I hope you guys go out into the world and get everything you want by helping everybody else get what they want. There is tremendous, tremendous power in these tools, but they only work for you if you use them. So, do the drills, get the skills. In the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. I love you all. Thank you so much for spending your night with me. I hope these tools do as much for you in your life as they've done for mine. And if you have any questions, let us know. There will be a replay on YouTube immediately after we log off. Webinar replays on our website will take a little bit longer because we have to download the video and upload it again. But go ahead and click that link now before it's too late. Last chance, last call. If you're on the fence, remember it has a 60-day money-back guarantee. If you're not getting the results after 60 days, pick up the phone, let us know, and we'll make it right. Good night. Love you. Special thanks to Stephanie and Brandon, Holly, and Seth for being my whack-a-trolls in the background, making things run smooth. I love